Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Shutterfly. If you're like us, you take a lot of pictures because you have a camera right in your hand all the time. How would you not take a lot of pictures? And we're taking all these pictures, more than we've ever taken in the history of the world.
What are you going to do with them all?
That's the thing. You used to get a solid picture, and then you'd look through them, and you could enjoy them. Now they're like back on your camera roll. You can't even find them. You don't want that. That's why the cool thing you need to do, and what I did, and I think it's pretty cool, is create a Shutterfly photo book.
Oh.
What I did, and you're going to enjoy this, Jimmy, because I haven't showed this to you yet, but took all of our pictures from being on tour this year.
Oh.
All live show pictures, us backstage, us on stage, doing all that stuff, and like some of the, just the venues and things, and made a little photo book out of that. Also, they have free 24-hour designer service as well. With their 24-hour designer service, a professional designer is going to lay out the book for you for free in just a day. Make something that means something with Shutterfly. Enjoy 40% off orders over $29 with promo code SMALLTOWN. See site for promotional details.
And now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely. And parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/Wondery.
This week in White Earth, Minnesota, a man ends up dead deep in the woods, and the only clues are some footprints in the frost and some contradicting stories. Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
Yay, indeed, Jimmy. Yay, indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmy Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us again on another warm, cuddly, curl-up-by-the-fire edition of Small Town Murder. You sit, you read it to your...
by the window in Phoenix?
Read it to your toddler. You know, it's come here. Come listen. But thank you guys for joining us this week and live from hot, awful Phoenix in June. But thank you guys once again. We are going to have a blast this week. Thank you, first of all. Actually, before we get to that, let's announce Charlotte is on sale.
Yes.
Charlotte Live Show's finally on sale right now as you're listening to this. You can buy it. The pre-sale was like a couple days ago, and tickets are on sale right now. Get those tickets. It's going to go fast, I know, because it's like during a festival, so there's a lot of people around. So we don't want any mediocre fans getting the tickets. You guys get them first. Get that stuff there. And Tampa and Orlando, the first weekend of the tour is coming up in a little over a month.
Let's go.
Let's go, Tampa and Orlando. You want to make a showing? Do not let Omaha punk you.
Yeah.
Do you want to be punked by Omaha?
Fucking Nebraska?
Yeah. Do you want to be embarrassed by Omaha?
Look like an asshole in front of Nebraska?
You want Kansas City to make you look like shit? You want Pittsburgh you want the Rust Belt to punk you? Because that's what's going to happen, Orlando and Tampa, right there. I'm telling you right now.
St. Louis, the claim to fame is fucking Nelly? Come on.
No, St. Louis is a notorious great out town. All of their sports teams sell really well.
Yeah.
They like to go out in St. Louis. I don't know why. Their houses are awful in St. Louis.
Nelly sells a shitload of tickets still too.
That's a good point.
When he's not in
probably
prison. I think he's in jail right now.
In St. Louis. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? But
goddamn St. Lunatics.
That's right. Oh, they're going to be. It's going to be fun. Well, thank you guys anyway for all of your reviews this week on whatever platforms, especially Apple Podcast, the purple icon. That really helps us out a lot. We don't understand the charts, but for some reason they weigh those reviews on those charts.
It seems to matter.
Just as much as the listens. So if you want to help us out on the business end, go ahead and give us a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever the hell that purple icon is. Give us 5 stars. It doesn't matter what you say. It's not for our egos. Words can't fix us. This is strictly for business, so we would appreciate it a great deal if you could do that. Also, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com where you can get the aforementioned Charlotte tickets. Also Tampa and Orlando and every other ticket out there except for Omaha, Kansas City, St. Louis, and Pittsburgh because they're sold out. But the rest of them, this week we're going to do a show here. Our show this week takes place in Minnesota, and that's because they're such good. They sell out so fast, and we have a huge venue, and it's almost sold out. So Minnesota, get your tickets quickly. I know it's not for a couple months, but you got to do it. You got to do it. And thank you for doing that, everybody who has done that. And also at the end of the show, we're going to talk about our amazing group of fabulous, wonderful producers that are just our favorite people in the world. And if you'd like to become one of those people, you can do that very easily by going over to patreon.com/crimeinsports or head over to PayPal and use our email address, which is crimeinsports@gmail.com. And if you go, why the hell is it Crime in Sports? Because that's the name of our other podcast. And if you haven't listened to it, I don't know what you're doing. I really don't. You don't need to like sports. It's better if you don't like sports because we're making fun of athletes that are idiots and screwing up badly. It's not a celebration of idiot athletes. It's really a ripping of them. So do that. Check that out. And well, that out of the way, I think we need the disclaimer quickly. It's a comedy podcast, everybody. This is a comedy show. We're comedians. We're going to make jokes. That's how it works. There's lots of funny stuff that happens around murders. You wouldn't think so. You think, oh, murder, that's dark. No, not all of it. The death part's dark. All the rest of it's probably a lot of fun for the most part. A lot of crazy things lead up to those circumstances. Because we don't do generally like a convenience store robbery. No. It's not really our thing. There's no backstory there. We need a backstory. So that's where the fun lies. And also let's make fun of small towns, make fun of police forces. What we try our best not to do, though, is to make fun of the victims or the victims' families because we're assholes, but we're not scumbags.
That's true.
So we do it like that, and we think it's okay, and we think you're going to have a good time. And if you think you're going to have a good time, too, then stick around. But if you think true crime and comedy should never go together, then we're probably not for you.
We're not yours.
And that's okay. No problem. We're not for everybody, and that's okay. We're cool with that. So have a good one. For the rest of you, though, stand up on the cubicle, stick your head out of the car window, scream in the middle of the gym, and scare the shit out of everybody else who's trying to get their heart rate up. Scream, shut up,
and give me murder.
Let's do this, Jimmy.
Somebody just dropped a barbell.
I heard it too. Yeah, I did. And who the fuck? They reported that person to the manager. Let's go on a trip, Jimmy. What do you say? Let's do this. Let's go. We're going to get out of we've been in the muck and the mire. We've been all over the place lately. We're going to go up. We're going to go up to Minnesota.
Yeah, it's chilly.
It's chilly, nice up there. The people are
so nice,
ridiculously nice to the point where you think they're lying, but they're not. It's the level of Southern hospitality, except they're not full of shit up there. Because in the South, that's all that's all just real. I mean, they'll act like that, but we know you're not that nice. Come on.
But that Minnesota, though, it could be smoke and mirrors sometimes. And I got in the car with one of our listeners and drove up to go see one of the houses we
covered.
They're
just nice.
And I could be dead right now.
No,
I'm an idiot.
They're the nicest people.
Let's go. Let's go have a look. See.
It's ridiculous how nice they are. In the South, it's like they're nice, but when they turn to whoever they came with, they're like they go and they talk shit. In Minnesota, they are nice and they turn to whoever they came with and they go, that seemed like a nice fella, eh? Like they're like the nicest. I know that's Canadian, but you're pretty much kind of Canadian light, and we like you guys up there. Is what we're saying.
His number. He was nice.
He was nice. Yeah. Well, we're going all the way up to White Earth, Minnesota.
Yeah,
this is in northwestern Minnesota, kind of central northwest.
All of Minnesota, White Earth.
White Earth, yeah, because there's snow on the ground for the most part here. Santa Claus has his autumn residence here. It's very nice for that time of year. It's about 3 hours and 45 minutes to Minneapolis. Okay. It's an hour and 10 minutes to Fargo, North Dakota. So it's over that side and northwest of Minneapolis, and about 4 hours and 45 minutes to Red Wing, Minnesota, which was episode 84.
Things I learned in that one.
Our last one in September 2018. That was. So it's been a while. It's been a while since we've been to Minnesota. 8 months. Yeah. You wouldn't think so. 8, 9 months. Could have had a baby the time it took for us to get back to Minnesota. This is in Becker County, Minnesota here. Zip code 56591. Area code 218. That's for White Earth. And we'll talk about this because there's so much confusion with these towns because all these towns kind of overlap and they're all so rural that the lines are like in the woods. So it's all very... The town lines are it's just all woods up there. So it's not really like, Elm Street separates that town and that town. It doesn't work like that. It's just somewhere in those woods there's a divider somehow, and it's between counties, and it's really weird.
They paint the trees or some shit?
They should, actually. All our trees are this color, all your trees are that color, and then it's segregationist trees. Minnesota will not do that. They say, no, all of our trees go together, even though they're all white.
Right. Flying over that place, I was blown away with how many goddamn trees they have.
There's a lot of trees. No hills, but trees.
Stop bragging about how many lakes you got. Start bragging about the trees.
There's a lot of white people
everywhere.
Yeah, a lot of. In this case, like right away, I was like, "Are these people white, or I don't know what color they are?" And then I thought of, just I don't know who they are, and I'm looking into it, and then I'm like, "What am I even looking into this for? It's Minnesota." Unless someone specifically tells you that Kirby Puckett was on the scene, just everyone's white. That's it. Like he wasn't there. So it's a 3.9 square miles. This town. Some of it's on a lake. There's there's lakes everywhere in Minnesota. Motto here is, quote, just on their site, it's White Earth Nation welcomes you.
Jesus.
It's on everything. Or they also have this on their site. It's not really a motto, but it just says, quote, purchase wild rice online, exclamation point. That's big.
I'm tired of you coming into the store.
Lots of we have wild rice. That's what we have here, wild rice. Or their lesser known one, the home of Gore-Tex underwear, which is where it would be.
Is that true?
No, that's not true.
But what's Gore-Tex?
It's this awful.
Did I miss your joke? I'm sorry.
It's never mind. Never mind, Jimmy. They made winter coats out of it.
I've got to know what Gore-Tex is.
George Costanza had a big Gore-Tex coat and he knocked the wine over. What's along? Never mind.
Damn it.
Forget it, Jimmy. Okay. It's this plastic squeaky material that's very warm, and if you wore it on your balls it'd be strange. That's why therein lies the joke. But never mind. Now this area was a reservation, this area, and technically still is, except the local Indians don't own the land anymore. It's very strange.
They local Indians?
Yes, they do. They have a lot of Native Americans in this area of Minnesota. Native Americans and woods people.
Yeah.
Basically, like weird foraging woods people, as we'll talk about in this episode.
So we've got Indians and then white Indians.
It's not even. No, these are like, I can't explain these people. We'll talk about it, but this was obviously
indigenous whites. This is bizarre.
Not really. No. They're like if you just imported them from West Virginia. They're like hill people, sort of, except there's no hills there.
Got it.
So they're lake people, I guess. Here now, there was obviously this was Native American land before the Europeans got here, and so they named them the Ojibwe Indians, is what the Europeans named them, and no one's sure exactly how this developed or anything like that, and no one. Just one of those, they stuck a name on them, and then it stuck for the next, few hundred years, even though that's not their name, and it means nothing.
Minnesotans really love the Native American tongue, though. They name everything after Native American shit.
All up north, and New York's the same way. New York,
of white people that can't pronounce shit in their town.
Upstate New York is everything like that, too. I'm from Wappingers Falls, New York. That's not a,
I guess San Diego is very similar. Southern California in general.
Yeah, whoever was there.
Everything's named Spanish shit.
Yeah, whoever was there
white people
when you got there.
Shit.
Yeah, whoever's there when you got there, you name the shit after them for the most part. Some of these places. So, this is the White Earth Reservation's located in 3 different counties spread across north central Minnesota. It was created in 1867 by a treaty between the U.S. and the Mississippi band of the Chippewa Indians, and it's one of the 7 Chippewa reservations in Minnesota. The White Earth Chippewa don't live here anymore, but it's very strange. They don't live here anymore, but some people they live in this area, but not in the same way. It's a different thing now. They've there's no how to put this. They've definitely come to the modern age and stepped out of tradition in this thing, which I guess is why wouldn't they? It's the modern age. Everybody else has stepped into the modern age, but it's this area has very much overtones of the past and of the older, Indian customs and all sorts of shit like that. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Cool shit here. So, these people, these ancestors came here, looking for water and forest land, and they found it here. Lots of fish, lots of beaver, shit like that to do here. And, eventually here, Becker County was named for General George Loomis Becker, who was, of St. Paul. In 1857, he was Minnesota was a new state. He was one of the 3 men elected as members of Congress from Minnesota. And, they could only send 2. I don't know if they couldn't afford the 3rd one. Look, we got room and board for fucking 2 of you. Yeah. But we're not sending 3 to Washington. That's too much. So this guy just stayed here. Yeah. They made a deal with him that, okay, there's 3 of us, 2 of us can go. We'll go. If you stay here, you get the next county named after you. Oh. That was the deal they made. And he was like, all right.
Deal.
We're not taking fucking Becker with us. He's a total dick. No. Well, how we can, I don't know. We'll fucking name something after him. He won't. Dude, he's a pompous ass.
He's a dummy, and he'll just take anything.
If we put a fucking sign up with his name on it, he'll do anything. So, whatever. So, yeah, they named
Loomis,
it after him.
I wonder if he's the founder of, like, that money company.
I don't know. That's his middle name. I don't know. It's George Loomis Becker. Oh. Or it might have been his mother's maiden name, who the hell knows how they used to fucking name their kids back then. So, yeah, for the 10 years after Becker County was established, there was no white people there yet, though. Okay. It was just the Chippewa Indians were all there, and that was it here. The Sioux Indians had a part of this area also, and near a lake that was here. And then they had the treaty in 1867, and that established this whole area, this whole reservation. Colonel George Johnston was the founder of Detroit Lakes, which is kind of seems like the nearest town like of anything in this area, because there's a few towns and they all kind of blend together. This is the really strange area. It's really hard to figure out. I got to be honest with you here, but they called the one place Detroit Lakes. So that was the original Detroit.
Nowhere near Detroit.
Nowhere near Detroit. Absolutely not. No, just Detroit Lakes there. And probably somebody was from Michigan, and I mean, who the fuck knows here?
Detroit's on one giant ass lake.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
They don't need any more Detroit.
Little Detroit we got here. It's cold there too. People will come here. It's the same thing. Who gives a shit? So in 1881, there was the Detroit Lakes was incorporated as Detroit, which was French for straight.
Really?
So, yeah, apparently that's a French word for straight, is Detroit.
Like a waterway straight? That kind of straight?
Straight, yeah, like a straight.
Okay,
not gay. A straight out, yeah. Right. Yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying. Yeah. French for straight. So they're like, there's no gays in the land. I don't think that's what happened here. So, Detroit, though, became, by the 1880s, you had a nice hotel and, an opera house and a newspaper. They started becoming some shit, actually, here. They had an ice company there, which bottled and sold spring water. Awesome. That was the first industry there. And in 1926, it was renamed Detroit Lakes to stop getting mail from Detroit, Michigan, because people don't know their state codes either. So it's Detroit MI.
Oh, shit.
Minnesota's MN. But if you're an idiot, or not an idiot, if you just don't know, you put MI and you think it's me. So you end up with mail going to the wrong fucking places. Like we're sticking a lakes on the end of this shit. So much postal confusion in the development of this country. I want to see a documentary on postal confusion. And that's
what happens when you name 8 states M. You know
that's
what I mean?
the problem.
That's
and
bananas.
And
there's only fucking 50.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's difficult. And then you have your abbreviations, which are the 2-letter thing. Is if they made them 4-letter abbreviations, we'd never have a problem. But they made them 2-letter abbreviations and confused the shit out of everyone here.
Well, on Wheel of Fortune, RSTLNE, those are the most popular letters in the English language, and we somehow landed 8 states starting with an M. How did we do that?
It's all M. All fucking M. 8 out of 50. So in 1941, the state fire marshal described the courthouse as a very serious fire hazard and a menace to public safety, which how many courthouse fires have we had in this show's history?
It's always on fire.
So they sold the courthouse to a wrecking company for $531. You could have bought the whole courthouse for $531.
Well, what was left of it?
Which is, it wasn't burned. Oh. They just said it's going to burn.
They deemed it as a possibility.
It's a tinderbox. They said it's a fire hazard. It's a menace to public safety. We're going to build another one, sell it off for $531.
Oh, that's amazing.
So you could have moved in, been real careful with your open flames, and been fine, and lived in a courthouse. So they had a new courthouse here. About 10% of the reservation now, the White Earth, is Indian owned.
Okay.
So it's not. The tribe is legally contesting title to a bunch of government owned land within the res boundaries. There's a whole legal battle going on, as there's a million legal battles all over the country with these reservations and different resource extraction and all that sort of shit here. A guy from here, guy named Joe Guyon, who is Joseph Big Chief Guyon. I don't know if he was an Indian guy from this area, and he played football and baseball. He was like the 19 teens and 1920s, like big shot athlete, one of the kind of like a Jim Thorpe type. He played for the Canton Bulldogs, who's an original, NFL team, Washington Senators, the NFL back then, the New York Giants in 1927, Kansas City Cowboys, all of these old Cleveland Indians. These are old football teams. Played for them. He's an NFL Pro Football Hall of Famer.
No shit.
Yeah, Pro Football and College Football Hall of Famer, which is pretty awesome here. So,
is he still alive?
I don't believe he's still alive. No, 1971 he died.
Got it.
So, he's also was a national champion on his college team, NFL champion. He's all All-America college guy, just an amazing athlete from here. Native American from here. Yeah, he's kind of like their Jim Thorpe of this area, who's also Native American. People in this town, we'll talk about this here. People, as population's 548.
None.
So very small. And it's rural, man. 548. That, when we talk about 3.9 miles, that's like the town proper. But like I said, it's just woods.
Yeah.
Shit goes out in the woods. The population's up 72% since 1990.
At 549, that's up?
That's up 72%.
Wow.
People have gone to these rural areas in the last 30 years, apparently. Median age here is only 28.6, which it's normally about 38 in this country.
Bunch of babies.
It's 3 times the 5 to 9 year olds as normal. Okay. And also this 3 times the 15 to 17 year olds as normal.
For real, a lot of babies.
Shitloads of kids here. People are they moved here and started pumping kids out like crazy. So it's about, there's a little more female than male, but it's about on average. Married population, though, it's normally 50-50. Here it is 20%, which is by far the lowest we've ever had.
That's a lot of kids for nobody being married.
20% married. Everybody's a child. Something's up here.
Yeah.
Unless maybe because all the kids aren't married.
There's only 20% parents.
Yeah, all the kids aren't married. Maybe that's what it is. If you have, if you and your wife have 10 kids, 20% of you are married.
That's true.
Or you have 8 kids, 20% of you are married. That's that. So
that's the math.
That's the math of it. So 80% single. But single with no children, 15%.
Almost nobody.
So it's nobody.
Yeah.
Single with children, 59%.
Wow.
So there's a definite pattern here, let's just say here. Married with children, only 20% of the population.
They are fucking having kids and then hating each other.
And the divorce rate, though, is not much higher than normal.
No.
The widow rate's a little bit higher, but nothing that would constitute this complete anomaly of statistic. Now, race of this town, it is 6% white.
Yeah. What?
62 is the average in the country. Average for small town murders about 112.
97?
About 112% usually. Here, 6.02% white, 0.0% black.
Yeah.
Kirby Puckett is not here.
No.
He has a house somewhere else, so that we know. 1.28% Asian, so not a lot of Asians either. 80% Native American.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to get the bulk. 10% Hispanic, so that's about right. 68% of the people here are religious, which is higher than the 50-50 normal. There's about 23% Catholic, 30% Lutheran because it's Minnesota, and then I assume whatever
Native American,
whatever that tribe, whatever their religion is, I'm not sure. Now, voting wise, Becker County, about 30% of the people voted Democrat in the last election, about 63% Republican. Okay. It's very rural. It's pretty normal for that. The unemployment rate here is just about the same as the rest of the U.S., a little under 4%. The median household income, though, is a little lower.
Really?
Let's say $58,000 is about the national average, and here it is $20,547 for a household income.
Whoa.
That's very low.
That's nothing.
That's nothing. 42% of people make under $15,000 a year.
What?
42%. 73% of people make $30,000 or less.
Oh, my word.
In this town. That's
horrific.
Couple that with all the kids.
Yeah.
And think about what's happening here.
God.
And it's not good. It's not a good pattern.
Your own food.
That's the thing is a lot of these people do.
Really?
That's we'll talk about it. We're going to talk about people that are like syruping and they fucking raise leeches and bees and shit. This is bonkers what we have today for you. It's insane. So here are the jobs. I mean, there's some retail trade, little bit of construction, but it's like over 11% of the jobs are in the utilities. Okay. So that's, there's not a lot of people there. So that's a lot of jobs for that sort of thing.
Well, utility companies like to put like their manufacturing of the utility, whether it's a power plant or a gas thing, they like to put it in reservation land and then have Native Americans work those fields.
Apparently that's what they do.
That makes sense.
Yeah, there and the healthcare is also 25% here of the jobs, which is way above what it normally is. So
they put these plants there in the Native American areas and have them run it, and then they bring in a bunch of white guys to run the fucking thing and make the good money. You know what I mean?
Oh, I got you.
Jerks.
Yeah, that's the.
You're kind of contribute. How about you fucking contribute?
Kind of a pattern, I think, that's been happening for a while now. It feels like a little bit. Cost of living here, 100 being average, par, whatever the hell you want to say here. Here it is 77. Yeah. So for that low of a household income, this is not that cheap, let's just say. But the good thing is the low one here is housing. That's about a 45. Median home cost is $90,900, which is still tough if you make 20 grand a year for your whole house. That's
brutal.
That's rough. And if we've convinced you, damn it, you need to get away. Step away from it all.
You've had enough of real life.
You've had enough. You need to go looking for shit in the woods to eat. Then we have.
Are you done smiling?
Are you done? You want to freeze and look for fucking? You want to dig in the ice to look for food? Well, we have for you the White Earth, Minnesota Real Estate Report. All right, here. So I found a few houses. There's really. It's hard to find information
you were
on
real
shit
struggling
here.
On this
is a tough one, man. This was a tough one. So I found in the town itself, I can't find anything. But I found in like nearby towns that are right there that are 2 minutes this way, 2 minutes that way. I found one in Woburn, which we'll talk about a little bit in this episode. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 2,000 square foot home. It looks like it's possibly manufactured of some kind.
How do you get 2,000 square feet out of 2 bedrooms, 1 bath?
I don't know if
that is a shitload of footage.
I feel like that includes a porch or something of that nature. I don't know.
There's a couple of walls in there.
$54,900. So maybe it has no roof, and they include up as a square footage. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,884 square foot house here. This is on almost 5 acres of property. It's a lot of property. This is $180,000, but that's a big swath of land for 180 grand with a house on it. Then I found, if you want it, you know what? You don't want their old house. You want to build your own, or hell, you just want to pitch a tent and live old style and forage for things. 2.54 acres of land in Omega, which is right here, for $45,000.
That's a pretty good deal.
It's a steal.
Yeah.
So there you go. Move there. Things to do in this town. Interesting. I found the 2019 White Earth Powwow and Celebration.
Oh, you can't do that.
You can't. They do it. God. It's the reservations people themselves put it on. That's what they call it.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's to try to attract.
Was that a Native American term, or did we give them that thing?
It seems like something we would have said, like to make fun of him.
Wigwam. Those are 2 words that I would expect.
But I think it's actually a thing, though.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's because that's what they call it. Okay. Join us for the 151st annual. So they've been doing this a while. Yeah. So I feel like, language is going to be different from 150 years ago. Powwow and celebration, June 14th to 16th. So if you're listening to this, get your asses over there.
It's happening
now.
Right
tonight.
Yeah.
So it's at the White Earth Powwow grounds in White Earth, Minnesota.
Why does that feel so gross?
It feels terrible to say. I feel like I'm just saying the N-word repeatedly.
Have you heard Tim McGraw's song Indian Outlaw? No, you have not. Never mind.
I just looked at Jimmy like, what do you think?
It's a 30-year-old song.
I heard it?
I figured you stumbled on it by now. My point is that song, if it comes out today, that guy never sings another song ever. If you ever listen to that song, it is the most culturally appropriating, insulting song ever. It's horrific.
I'm sure.
I can't believe Tim McGraw got away with that shit.
I'm sure. It's imagine what he said not into a microphone. Think about that.
I'm sure that he took a break from singing it at least twice and was like, I can really say that, y'all?
I can say that?
I can do this?
He was like the Southern guy. He was like,
great,
they're great people. And he was like, these damn fucking red bastards. I'm going to sing this goddamn. Now, let me tell you all a little something about it. Whereas the Minnesota be like, I like these Indian people.
They're nice people.
It's a different thing completely.
This song is horrible. I can't believe it's real.
Jesus Christ, man. It says, though the White Earth Powwow is a celebration of the White Earth Reservation's people and heritage, everyone is invited. It's an open event, not just for the native people, but for everyone. They say it twice just to make sure you know. You're allowed here. Just please. Around 1,000 dancers and 28 drum groups performed last year with similar numbers expected again.
Jesus, they're flying them in.
It's fucking badass, actually. Those drum groups are they're good.
Those,
dude, they're badass. Yeah. And also, in Nevis, Minnesota, Muskie Days. I don't even need to know. I looked it up and was like, I was copying down what it was about, and I was like, I don't need this. It's called Muskie Days. That's as Minnesota as you get.
Is it in fucking summertime?
I think it is. Yeah,
I'm just wondering if muskie describes the smell.
No, muskie is they eat muskie, the fish up there.
Is that a fish?
It's a fish, and they're very much into the muskie up there. It's the walleye of Minnesota.
Really?
If you're in Wisconsin, it's all about the walleye. Yeah. If you're in Minnesota, it's all about the muskie, and I think if you go down south, then you're into crappie country, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's catfish.
That's even no, I meant south from there, like Indiana,
gotcha.
That area, not down south.
That's catfish for
That's
sure.
Catfish.
With your hand.
With your
or whatever.
Some noodling. Now, or whatever you got.
Right.
Stick a foot in there.
Put your noodle
I
in
lost a hand, so I just use my foot now. Figure I can hop if anything happens.
Left.
Whatever's left, nubs. So, crime rate in this town, what we're interested in, property crime is just below average, maybe about 10% below average, but pretty much near average. Violent crime, though, murder, rape, robbery, and assault, the Mount Rushmore of crime, is about half the average.
Oh.
So it's relatively low crime for a place where people make little money, don't marry, but yet have lots of kids. Yeah. That's a low crime rate for that, because normally those factors just end up with crime, because you end up with kids that are unsupervised and have nothing to do.
Right. When kids don't have an authoritarian anywhere nearby, they're going to get in trouble.
They get in trouble. Yeah. It's just how it works. So that's kind of what's going on there. But no, here they've kept them together. Hopefully when those 5 to 9 year olds become a little older, things don't flip and turn the other way. Right. Now, let's talk about a murder. Okay. Let's do this. Let's get into this. Now, this murder, it says in different court documents from different appeals and and original trials, and then from newspaper clippings, and then from other state documents, that this particular crime happened in 3 different towns.
Okay. So
they all kind of cross over each other, though, is the thing. And it happens in a rural area where I don't know if they don't know where it crosses or what, but
it sounds like a Venn diagram.
It's kind of like that. Yeah. And technically, I guess this would sort of be in Maple Grove Township, but then it's also, they call it Omega, but then it's also called White Earth because of where who the fuck knows? I just picked White Earth and I went with it because you know what? It's like a 2-hour show already.
It's confusing.
I didn't want to give 3 different town histories, all towns that are within 5 minutes of each other. It doesn't matter. It's this area. It's the reservation. Tried to stick to the general deal. Kiss my ass is what I'm saying. That's all. So that said, as a nice intro here, let's talk about a fella, shall we? Yeah. Let's talk about a guy named Chad Sweetberg.
Oh.
Now, I really didn't have to look up to see
what... That's not a Native American guy?
I was going to say, probably not a black guy either, judging by both his name and his location. Right. I'm going to go with a white dude named Chad Sweetberg, which are the 2 whitest names I can think of. He's about 34 years old in 2007, we'll say. And this, you're going to hear a lot of things in this that you're going to almost hear it and go, so this is like 1922. This is like what? The Depression? What are we talking about here? And then you'll be like, and so he called him on his cell phone, and you're like, oh wait, this is modern times. Holy shit. What's going on here? What's the fuck is going on? Where's the moonshine still? What is fucking happening here? There's banjos. It's weird.
All right. My ass is plenty tickled. Let's go.
It's fucked. So Chad Sweetberg here lives with his wife Leslie Fain. Now, they live in rural Becker County out here. Now, Leslie and Sweetberg got married, but they didn't tell Chad's family that they got married.
Oh.
Because they don't approve of Leslie.
Oh, yeah.
Probably because her son, Jesse, is 3 years younger than Chad.
Okay, that's weird.
So I'm going to assume that's the reason why they don't approve of the relationship. She's a little bit older than him and has a son that's like the same age. So it's a little weird, and they're just not okay with it. No, we're not going to judge anybody. I don't fucking know what their life is about.
Like it.
Hey, you know what? Maybe they get along great. I don't fucking know what's going on. It's not my business.
I like when opposites do that shit.
Great. Who cares?
It's such an interesting dichotomy. It's fascinating.
It's interesting. All right.
Yeah.
It's a good word. Fascinating for this. Well, they all live kind of in this house in the woods, and Chad lives with his wife Leslie, and also a bunch of Leslie's relatives live there as well. A ton. Her son Jesse, who was 31 at the time, and Chad's 33, and so they got along great. Though everybody said everybody was like, oh, they're great friends, like they were good friends. It's like, well, they probably went to high school together,
right?
So yeah, it's like, you remember Mrs. Thompson, biology? She was a bitch, right? Oh, dude, she was the worst. She gave me a C. Yeah, fuck her.
It's not just that; is that they know the same people.
They have references. They know the same people. They borrow. They know each other's music and movies and references. They
wear the same size shirt.
Yeah, they like the same cereal that Leslie can put out on Saturday morning for them. It's really convenient. So it's a little weird here. So not only does Jesse live there, but also his wife lives there, because Jesse can't not be married there. He's got to have a wife. Oh, by the way, and his 3 kids live there too.
Hold on. A man with 3 kids and his wife is living with his mother?
He's living with his mother, and he's 31 years old. It's not like he's 22 and had a tough run of it. He's fucking 31 here. So.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely, these people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked, God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
This show, Small Town Murder, is brought to you by BetterHelp. Get yourself some therapy, everybody. Honestly, here. We often hear about, red flags that you should avoid. Hey, that's a lot of a thing. It's become a real phrase now, real cliche. But why don't you focus also, you look at green flags in friends and partners. Look for good things as well.
Right.
And maybe you're not sure what that looks like, though. Therapy can help you figure that out. What are positive things? What are the green flags? And then you can practice them in your relationship. It's absolutely a fact. And so, honestly, we absolutely are huge advocates for this. It really, really helps. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable. It's convenient. They serve over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists, wide ranges of specialties there. Here's the coolest part. You're not getting along with your therapist, you're just not feeling it, you can switch at any time, no extra charge.
Wow.
The thing is, they want you to get help. That's it. And you can do it with BetterHelp. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/smalltownmurder today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you about Noom. Has Noom helped you? I believe it has.
Oh, it's got an app. You can do tracking. It's terrific.
It does. Noom builds personal plans that can meet individual needs. That's the thing. Takes into account any dietary restrictions, medical issues, other personal needs. That helps build a plan that works for you. And yes, so I know that you've had your own personalized program here that you've been working on. And
it's weight loss This is weight loss results that last. They stick around because you get yourself into a lifestyle change. That's what matters.
That's mainly it. You can't just say, I'm going to cut that out for a month and then go back to it. That's not what it is. So I'm glad it's helping you. That's great. And it really does. I like the psychology and biology-based approach here. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain, but it also takes into account your unique biological factors, Jimmy. All of your
all different
multitude flora and fauna that goes on inside of you there.
Sure, yeah.
Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com, Noom.com here. Based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum starting BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit our website for more information.
Oh, this is rough. Chad's living at home. We also, in addition to that, his 3 kids, like we said, also Leslie's sister and her kid live there as well.
Oh, boy.
So Chad is, wow, he's a patient man.
How big is this house?
Oh, by the way, Ken, who is Chad's older brother, lived right by there, like very close with his wife and 3 kids also. So this guy is overrun with family.
This is horrible.
His house that's a lot of people living in his house. Let's get him, his wife, the son, and his wife and 3 kids and then the other one that's 5'7" there's 9 people total living in the house. This is
that's way too many.
This is the Brady Bunch, including Alice.
Right.
But Alice is actually someone's got to have a job of cleaning, and that's and making shit and keeping all these kids in line, and that's what Alice does, and no one has this job specifically as a profession in this house here. So April 13th, 2007. Let's talk about that particular date here. Now, Chad Swedberg, he's going to, this is okay, we're going to have to talk about a few things. He's planning that morning to go process some maple syrup.
Okay.
Now, he processes maple syrup.
That's his job.
I don't know. Not really.
Oh.
It's not a job.
He's just doing that for fun?
He just does it. I don't know if he plans to eventually sell this syrup on the syrup. I don't know if there's like a syrup market, a secondary.
Run it up to Wall Street?
Maybe. Or he's got some sort of like really like organic online business. But I feel like no. I feel like he's going to go like put his like a van on the side of the road and be like, I got syrup, like a handwritten sign.
Right.
Like the guys in Arizona who go, this is Phoenix. It'll be 112 degrees outside. You'll be driving, not even in the city, like outside the city, but in the desert, there's just a guy with a fucking van on the side of the road with sign that says shrimp.
Right.
You're like, I'm going to buy shrimp. I'm going to buy shrimp when it's 112.
Frutas and cocos.
From a man in a van. I don't think so. This is the same thing, I feel like. He's going out there, jars of syrup, shaking them around.
So gross.
Nasty. So he plans to process maple syrup with the help of his friend, a guy named Albert Baker. Now, Albert Baker is 72 years old. So he's an older guy. He's lived around here forever. He's an electrician. He was an electrician for Caterpillar Tractor Company for 30 years. And he's everybody calls him the go-to guy if you need technical assistance with anything. Okay. He's really good at like helping people build things or make things or if you need to figure out.
Handyman.
Yeah. Like if you need to figure out like something with maple syruping, he can help you out. Or leeching. He knows about leeching as well. We'll talk about this. Yeah, there's leeches involved in this episode here. That's what I mean. We're in another century, but it's 10 years ago, so this is weird as fuck. Albert at one point said, quote, I mostly help everybody. I've wired some houses, poured some concrete, built some houses too. He built the 200 plus gallon or cast aluminum maple sap. He built 200 cast aluminum maple sap traps. He to put all on these trees. I guess
200 of them.
200, I guess, to put on the trees. These are all used by Chad, and this Al Baker also built the syrup condenser as well. Oh, this is how your syrup is made.
I didn't know that you had to do that.
I don't know. This guy's like fucking Mr. Buttersworth. He's doing a great job, I guess. Mr. Buttersworth.
Uncle Jemima?
Uncle Jemima. Well, yeah, that's what I pictured. Tracy Morgan as Uncle Jemima. What was it? SNL. Uncle Jemima's.
Is that real?
Uncle Jemima's mash liquor. And he's Tracy Morgan's like drinking this shit and he's like seeing the cartoon birds and he's like, get these damn birds away from me. And there's a dude sitting next to him going, I don't see no birds, man. Are you all right? And he goes, I don't think you should drink any more of that. So, Uncle Jemima's mash liquor.
Unbelievable.
It's pretty damn funny.
I wish I would have seen that.
It's good stuff.
Sounds great.
Look it up on YouTube. It's damn funny. It's Tracy Morgan.
Was it Mad TV or was that SNL?
No, it's SNL.
Was it?
Yeah, SNL. So I said it was funny, which...
You gotta wait till I get the water in me.
Which, I mean, SNL, it's been a while, but Mad TV has never been fucking funny. Not for 3 seconds. Don't even say it is ever.
The guy that was the grown-up kid, never mind.
Michael McDonald.
Yeah.
I opened for him one time.
Yeah.
Nicest fucking guy on earth. I had no idea who he was. And so I was just talking to him, and he said, yeah, when I was on Mad TV, I was like, you're on Mad TV? He went, yeah. I was like, okay. Like, not like, oh, yeah, I remember. Okay, that's great. Yeah, good for you. A nice fucking guy, real good guy, and funny guy, too. But
well, his character was probably the best thing on that show.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't
It was just like a grown-up boy that would just say, look what I could do, and then he'd poke you in the eye.
No.
Or pull his mom's hair or some shit.
I think maybe I was wrong about Mad TV. I think it was...
Did I just change your
more
opinion?
Intellectual than I thought it was.
I see your sarcasm.
It's highbrow. I get it.
Artie Lang just has a great story about doing coke on the show, and that kills me. It's a great, but they didn't put that shit on the show. The show would have been amazing if they show Artie Lang in a pig outfit running around L.A. high on coke.
That's tremendous. That's a show.
Yeah.
To me, that show always looked like the American version of that Mexican show with the guy in the bee costume running around.
I wish I'd have
with
seen
like
that.
People. I think it gets like 200 million viewers in Mexico or some crazy shit. Yeah, it's some. It's been on for 50 years.
Really?
Yeah, it's the one they make fun of on The Simpsons. The guy in the bee costume. That's an actual guy in Mexico. An actual show. That's like.
I'm a problem.
You ever seen the one with like oh God, they have the drawn on. It's ridiculous.
I try so hard, James. I've seen so many things, just nothing that everybody else has seen. So my references are shit. And yours are great ones.
You got Tim McGraw references, but a lot of our people get it. A lot of people have heard Tim McGraw. There'll be people going, I know the song you're talking about, Jimmy.
And you're right. It's a piece of shit.
Piece of shit. Fuck Tim McGraw. Hashtag fuck Tim McGraw.
It's just all mainstream country. It's all garbage. Stop listening to the radio. That's the point.
That's awesome.
Dig deep and find good music.
Yeah, God damn it. So he's supposed to go out with Albert Baker and Jesse Fain, his stepson here. Now, the plan was for him to arrive, because this is the syruping camp, which this is a new term for me. I did not realize that syruping required a camp.
Right.
Like I picture tents. Yeah. I picture like it's like a civil war. You know, there's generals. There's a lot of things going on with this syrup. So,
a little smelting pot.
Oh, they do too. They have these big condenser things,
you said
big
that.
tanks, and all sorts of crazy shit. So the plan is for Chad to get to the syruping camp a little earlier than Albert Baker and Jesse Fain, because Chad needs to cut the wood to fuel the evaporator. Oh. This is getting more complicated by the second. I'm going to appreciate maple syrup so much more next time I have any.
Work went into this bottle.
I'm going to be fascinated by
pouring that shit on your pancakes like it's not a big deal.
Fucking pussy. I'm going to be like, ketchup? They just take tomatoes and fucking mash it and put sugar in it. There you go. There's your ketchup. You know what it takes to make this shit?
They got a goddamn condenser.
Men have to go into the woods all weekend and have condensers and chop wood. There's a lot that goes into this. A man chopped wood for this, goddammit.
They set up tents to make this shit.
For fuck's sake. You risk their lives over this syrup. So, yeah, he's going to cut the wood for the fuel to fuel the evaporator and have the camp all ready by the time Fain and Baker arrive later in the morning. Okay. Now, Swedberg here, Chad, he gets delayed at the house, and he doesn't leave the house until about 8 a.m., which is later than he's supposed to. Okay. The reason why is fucking hilarious, by the way. He planned to go there. Before leaving, he intended, though, to watch a segment on TV about a man who lived with wolves.
Yeah.
I'll
watch that.
He was waiting all morning for it. You wouldn't delay your day for it, though. If you had to go, you're like, I don't know, the wolf thing's not on. I'm going to go now. This guy sat around waiting for this wolf show to air, this segment about a wolf man.
Right.
And it never aired.
Right.
So he got super pissed and waited and left late. Fucked his whole day up for these wolves.
This is recent.
This is 2007. This isn't like
fucking exists.
TiVo exists. You can get a VCR for like $4 back then. Like it's 30-year-old technology, and like you can make things get recorded if you need them in 2007.
Something on TV, I'm not fucking my day for it.
No, that's what I mean. That's why I said this is like from another time where you're like, oh, it must have been like 1955, and they'll never re-air it. And you heard it was on it. No. And then you hear cell phone. You're like, wait a second, where are we? Just keep in mind 2007 always. So he became apparently agitated and frustrated and super pissed off the show wasn't on.
Over the wolves.
Over the wolf man. Okay. It was this guy, I feel like, well, you know what? I kind of understand now that I think about it. He lives in a house with 9 fucking people and his stepson and his 3 kids and his sister-in-law and her shitty kid too. You know he's got to be like, you know what? I'm going to live with the fucking wolves. I don't care anymore.
It's no different.
There's a fucking show on. I'm going to find out what this guy does and I'm going to live with the wolves.
I'm going to see what it's like, because you know what? It might be better than this shit.
Might be better.
All my shit's eaten anyway.
Fuck it. Fuck it. I bet the wolves are more fucking considerate. Wolves would turn lights off, you cocksuckers.
I'm shitting outside, too.
Never mind. I might as well, because there's no room in the bathroom.
All right.
So, yeah, this is becoming, I feel like that's the reason why. This is his fantasy. Yeah. He just wanted to live vicariously through Wolfman for a minute and just sense the quiet.
Yeah.
You know, a wolf will go, and he's like, yeah, I want to feel that. And so that's all I'm going to get. No one's asking for, like, you know.
It's not a baby crying.
No, it's great. No babies crying. No one's asking for food. This is phenomenal. So, yeah, this did not air. So he's super pissed.
Yeah.
And he says, I have to fucking go. But he tells his wife, Leslie, you watch the fucking wolf show and tell me about it.
Give me the clip notes.
Literally, he said, you fucking stay here and watch this goddamn Wolfman show and then fucking tell me about it. That was her job, was to stay and monitor the TV for the Wolfman show to come on.
You better fucking memorize it.
This is amazing. This is the funniest thing of this whole thing. Like, first of all, never mind that he's delaying going out for some maple syrup evaporation, gathering, concentrating trip and setting up a syrupin camp. That aside, set that aside, and he made his wife stay to fucking take notes on the wolf show for him. This is something Archie Bunker would say. Edith, sit down here with the notebook.
So good.
And take notes on that damn show. Okay, Arch. And she would sit there and do it.
I gotta go make money.
Let's go, dingbat. I gotta get out of here. But not in this day and age. Wouldn't she say, can't we just TiVo it? They got a DVR. Right. We just click. There we go.
It's free with the service.
It's fine.
Right.
They have this show's on every fucking. It'll be on again at 1 a.m. Like it's always on. So anyway, he says, fuck it, Leslie, you watch the wolves. I have to go hurry up and get the fire going before Al gets there, because then it's all going to be going. So he takes off, and literally within 10 seconds, as Leslie said, of Chad walking out the door, Wolfman show came on.
Oh, no.
So she's like, God damn it, now I got to watch this fucking wolf show here. So Leslie yelled for Chad, the fucking wolf guy, the wolves are on! And he didn't respond. He was already too far into the woods. Okay. And by then, he's like, I'm not turning back.
Right.
I got my boots on. Right. It's cold. What am I doing?
I'm with the wolves anyway.
Now I'm the wolf man, so I'll take notes. It's fine. So thanks for nothing. So yeah, he doesn't respond. So after he takes off, shortly after, a couple minutes go by, Leslie says she hears 2 loud gunshots from the direction of the syrupin camp. Mm-hmm. Now, normally any gunshots in the woods is not a big deal. Yeah. There's a ton of people hunting around here. It's the woods.
Somebody's living.
There's tons of, like I said too, there's like a lot of foraging type people, and there's people hunting. But it concerned her because it wasn't hunting season. It's April. And that was after hunting season. And so she thought there was no reason for gunshots in that area. Yeah. That's more of a hunting area. It's not like over where people do target practice or anything like that.
Got it.
So she thought it was weird. So she called Chad's phone after she heard the gunshots. And she said she wasn't sure what time she heard the shots. But after hearing the shots, she started looking for her phone to call Chad. Her first call to him was at 8:13 a.m. And there was no answer. And then she called him at 8:15 and no answer. And then 8:27, 8:45, and 8:56.
She heard gunshots and she calls him every 6 minutes, but doesn't go, what the fuck?
First she does it every 2 minutes, and then she waits 12. Because, as we'll find out, she's doing other shit here. He didn't answer any of the calls. She's worried, obviously, because there was gunshots and he's not answering her phone. So she says, rather than I better go out and see what happened, she says, all right, I'm going to get in the shower and get ready for work. And then I'll call him before I leave one more time.
Okay.
You know, because who knows? He's out there syruping. So, I mean, the gunshots could have been from anywhere. And, you know, she's not that worried. She's just like, I'd like to hear that he's fucking alive. And you know.
Just get some saving grace and some good news and be okay. And it gets rid of the agita and the anxiety.
Exactly. So, yeah, she does that. She gets ready for work. She takes a shower. And then before she leaves, she calls him one more time because she said she was hoping hoping she didn't have to walk back to the syrupin camp and go find him. She's like, yeah, well, she's also in her work. Yeah, you fucking you learn nothing from the wolf man.
Right.
Nothing. Fucking lazy.
Thought you took notes.
Thought she took notes. See, she didn't do anything for him. So she ends up calling his phone. Again, this is 9:45 a.m. She calls his phone. So there was a gap between 8:56 and 9:45 of her calling him, where that was her getting ready for work. Again, no answer. So she says, God damn it, I got to walk down the trail all the way to the goddamn syrupin camp now. Don't you hate when you have to go to the syrupin camp? It's the worst.
Well, how long is the walk, too?
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm always, every 10 minutes, I'm like, again with the syrupin camp? Right. Jesus Christ, spend more time in a syrupin camp than I do in my own living room, Jimmy. And it's, you know what? It's disturbing at this point. You know, I want to live my life. I don't want to just think about syrup all the time. And that's all I'm thinking about. Yeah. That's it. So now,
Well, you smell delicious.
I smell mapley wonderful, like a Long John, like a maple glorious donut.
A maple bar.
Oh, fucking amazing.
Those are good when they're filled. When they're not, they're fucking terrible.
I don't want that at all. No? I don't want my shit to taste like maple for the most part.
Well, I mean, I'll eat it.
It's there. I'll eat it if it's there. I'm not opposed. I'm not any kind of snob about it. I'm not a donut snob or nothing, you know.
If it's a donut and it's not really a donut, it's like that. It's so much dough. It's got to have something to break it up, man.
Yeah, you gotta
stop it with
some creamy filling.
Too much pastry.
You're not just a giant.
Too much bread.
Well, I think that's what they're trying to do. Fill your ass up with some fried shit. Stick that in your face, stupid. You don't like it? Go live with the wolves. Enjoy. So shit. So yeah, she ends up walking back. Leslie walks back to check on Chad, and as she's walking back, she hears a four-wheeler coming from the woods. Okay. A four-wheeler, the noise of a four-wheeler in the woods, in the general direction of where Chad is supposed to be working. Okay. She was wondering who could be back there with him because none of the other guys are supposed to be there yet, but they might be because, like we said, there's two people coming. But I don't know if she thought they were going to be with a four-wheeler or what. So she ends up walking back there, and she sees Chad laying on the ground. She sees Chad laying on the ground. She sees that something is wrong with him. He's lying motionless on the ground. So that's bad.
And she starts thinking about all those phone calls.
She's no blood or anything is visible, but now she sees it. So she calls Ken, his brother, who lives right there at 9:55, and then calls 911 at 9:57. I don't know why she called Ken first. Call 911, then tell Ken about it. But I don't know. She might have been just freaked out. You don't know what people do when they're freaked out. She called Ken. He's right there. I don't know. What do I do? Hey, stupid. Call 911. Oh, yeah, sorry. Duh.
A lot of people do that in these situations.
Yeah, they do.
You just called something familiar for help.
The person need help. I need help, and then they go, hey, fucking...
And this guy's closer than the fucking fire department, probably.
Yeah, is my name Dr. Ken Swedberg? Right. No, it's just Ken Swedberg. So you better go fucking call a doctor and not me. So she calls 911, and she called Ken, she said, because she thought that the emergency personnel wouldn't be able to find him without assistance. Gotcha. So she said, look, I'm in the fucking woods with him, so I'm going to call 911, you look for him, and then bring him back to the syrup camp.
There's a mess. There's syrup everywhere.
It's just everywhere. That would be amazing. He's dead with lost too much syrup. He just lost too much syrup. The man has syrup running through his veins, Mr. Buttersworth here. So, yeah, she did that. So the White Earth tribal police officers show up a minute or two after 10 a.m. So they get there fast. Yeah. And then 5 minutes. Ken meets them at the residence and tells them that his brother, they think he's dead, and his body's about 1,000 yards down the trail. And the officers and Ken get into Ken's ATV, their four-wheeler there, and they drive out to the scene, and the path was muddy, and it was difficult to navigate. It's April, so the snow is melty in some places, and, it's muddy. It's real muddy and nasty.
They took some liberties, had some fun, spun some
fucking know it.
Shit.
He's like, there's a jump over here. One of you guys has to get off, though. You both can't do it. And then you can take turns. I'll take the other one over later.
We'll find him in a sec.
It's going to be great, though.
This hill's bitching.
He's not going to be dead when we get there? Hop on, fucker. Let's go. So I think that's what happened there.
I'd have some fun.
Possibly. I don't know how you wouldn't. So they end up going there, but yeah, it's very muddy. This April is makes it difficult because in Minnesota, it's the snow has been covering the ground since October up here. So if it's finally stuff starting to melt, it really it gets fucking muddy in these areas. Anywhere up north where there's a lot of snow has fallen in a winter. It's nasty in the spring. So in this area, they get there, they find his wife, Leslie, Chad's wife, screaming and crying and, freaking out, as a wife would do over her dead husband's body.
Why'd you guys just get off there and high five and say that was awesome?
Yeah, well, what the fuck, man? That wasn't cool at all. She pointed to Chad's body near the maple cooker, so there's a cooker, an evaporator, and a condenser so far, and traps.
You're right.
This is a thing. How complicated is syruping?
Oh boy.
I mean, Jesus Christ, man. It's too much. Yeah. I don't know. I thought electronics and shit, that would be tech stuff is complicated. Right. Syrup, man. Silicon Valley is going to be all syrup in a couple of years, I feel like.
I guess you got to boil it and condense it down. Is that what it is?
Fucking then evaporate some shit out so it thickens.
So weird.
I don't know.
I thought you just pulled it out of a tree and ran it through a filter.
I don't have any idea. Get the wood chunks and squirrel shit out of it, I guess. I don't know.
Hit it with a coffee filter and move on.
Yeah, just move on. Who cares? Got to put it through a Brita and you're fine. So, she points down to him, and this was used to process the maple syrup. The officer was checking Chad for signs of life, and he didn't. At the time, he didn't notice any blood either. These people are not, this whole scene is not, they're not real alert, let's just say.
Blood.
They see no blood, and we'll find out. There's fucking plenty of blood. Now, Leslie tells the officer she went looking for Chad after hearing 2 gunshots and didn't get him on a cell phone, which makes sense to them. They then examine under Chad's coat and shirt, and they notice blood all down his right side. Yeah. So the coat's keeping it in. Probably Gore-Tex.
I'll bet it is.
I bet it's Gore-Tex.
It's one of those rubber jackets.
Yeah, it's one of those, man. So a few minutes later, 2 of the medical people arrive here, and when they get there, they find him. He's Chad's lying on his back, clothed in what they call appropriate attire, which is for the weather. A winter jacket, blue jeans, insulated boots. Yeah. He's out syruping for the day here. Yeah. They observed that his face was covered by a hat. He had a baseball cap on, and it was kind of pulled down over his face. And I guess when he fell, it kind of, if it hit the brim, it would cover your face. So I feel like that's what happened. Also noted that they noted that the ground around him is thawing and extremely, extremely muddy. Mm-hmm. So they identify him. They get a cell phone out of his left inside jacket pocket, so his phone's still on him, and they took possession of the phone. By the way, I got this guy's phone records. Yeah. Now, it's fucking crazy when you look at a stranger's phone records.
It's crazy when you look at your own.
But yeah, look at a stranger's, and you're like, what's he up to? It's amazing.
If you ever look at your own, you will be like, what am I up to? What the fuck? How many phone calls am I making?
What is going on? Why am I doing? Who am I? I'm a monster.
I thought I didn't like to talk to people. I'm talking to people all fucking day.
Yeah, mine is not like that at all. Mine is like you, and then like Sarah if she goes out somewhere.
Yeah.
That's it.
Then me again.
And you again.
Sarah checking in.
Sarah saying
what she's making for dinner.
Yeah, I don't know, or what we're doing. What do you want to do later? I don't know. You want to go here? Sure.
This phone, it never fucking quits.
So yeah, so they took the phone, they checked the time on the phone and all that. They noticed the last call received, which this isn't a missed call, I guess this is an answered call, would be at 7:46 a.m. there. And then they said the last call missed was from Leslie at 9:47, which is what she said. Mm-hmm. So they ended up, as they were doing this, they're there for like 3 hours, and people are walking around, and I guess Ken was going back and forth, the brother, and at one point Ken says, what the hell is everybody doing standing around? Like, Ken took control of the crime scene. These cops had no fucking idea what they were doing.
He was not Detective Ken?
No. He's not Dr. Ken. He's not Detective Ken. Dr. Ken, Detective MD.
Right.
It's really weird. He's not. He literally came up and said, what the hell is everybody doing standing around? Let's go, everybody. And they just jumped into action. He said, come on, let's go around here, fucking secure this. Let's go around the perimeter and look for tracks coming in here. We'll go and look for like ATV tracks coming into the snow. Let's fucking do like police shit and figure out who killed my brother.
Was he hired as the sheriff now?
And they all were like, oh yeah, totally. We should do that. Did you? Yeah, that's regulation. Like we didn't. What the fuck? We don't know. We were just standing around looking at him for 3 hours, going, I don't know. This is crazy, right? I think he's dead. I don't know. So I think someone killed him. Look at this shit. So wow, not a lot of. They ended up, so they secured the crime scene and they go back to the residence there. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of physical evidence in this crime scene. That's the thing here. It's you're in the woods. In the homicide book, they always talk about the best place somebody could die for solving a crime is in a house. Yeah. You want someone dead in a house.
Contained. Because
it's contained. The elements don't get to it. There's, everything can get trapped. There's carpet for things to get in for physical stuff.
As much of a controlled environment as possible.
The worst place you could do is find like just a dead guy in an alley because it's like, well, that's that because everything around here doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the crime scene. There's a bunch of shit from everything else. Who knows? This crack pipe has nothing to do with the crime scene. It's been there for 2 days.
Those tire trucks from the delivery truck is parked over there.
So and the woods is the woods with a decaying environment also because over the course of the day it gets up to about 37 degrees.
Oh,
so
sweltering.
But it's melting. That's the problem. There's shit melting. So as stuff is melting, if you have tracks, those are melting out. If you have anything, things are the evidence is literally melting away before your very eyes.
Look at you.
Oh, look at that. So there was 4 trails that led to and from this clearing. Mm-hmm. One to the east, one to the south, one to the northwest, and one to the north. Now, on the northbound trail, an investigator said that he saw what he believed to be 2 tracks of footprints in the frost. Uh-huh. One track going north and the other going south toward the murder scene. So that would be somebody
coming and going.
There exactly. So that makes sense. But no photographs of the footprints were taken.
God damn it, Ken, you dropped the ball.
Yeah, well, there was a problem. They in one part, they didn't know how to investigate this because they have a problem here. They have woods, which there's a lot of places to hide. They don't know if the person who did this is still around. Right. And that's what they're thinking is like, do we lock this down as a crime scene and treat it like that? Or do we treat it like it's like an active suspect environment where we need to like secure ourselves and be safe and go look for a person, which are 2 totally different things. Yeah. So they don't know what they're doing. And on top of that, it's like, okay, there's footprints in the frost. That's there. And once they go back, it's melted away and gone. So they don't, unless there was a crime scene guy with a camera right there to take the picture.
God damn it.
It wasn't happening. So, there was also technical problems and the footprints disappeared as it got warmer in the day because that layer of frost melted off. So that's a problem here. Now, Ken and the Becker County deputy sheriff who arrived there, they drove around looking for tracks. They didn't find anything significant other than some evidence of other foot traffic that they believed to be from Chad. So they were looking for anything they could find. They also walked across a lake, which was still frozen, looking for tracks. Maybe they came from across a lake and went.
Some dangerous shit in it.
It is, yeah. In April,
37 degrees.
Yeah. Luckily, though, in April in a lake like this, it's probably so frozen that it's got a little
18 inches of fucking ice in it.
It's probably a good thick layer of ice still. Those fucking shit gets frozen.
I'll bet 8 inches is probably about right. Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, you're asking the wrong guy.
Sexual, but that wasn't what I meant.
What do you think, ladies? About 8 inches? That are about right.
Is 8 inches?
Let me ask you, what's perfect for you? Huh? What do you like? Nobody wants to get hurt by it, but on the other hand, you want to know it's there. You know what I mean? That's 8 for you. That's going to work.
I don't want it to sting. I want it to feel nice.
You know how it goes, but I want you to go, hey, I know Johnny was here. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. I don't know how the fuck we got there.
Sorry.
No, sorry for you. I'm the one who did I think I'm the sorry one. I just did a whole character about it. You just made a passing joke like a fucking normal person. I just
would like to know what's a safe
I'm the sicko.
thickness for ice.
For ice to go down. It's safe thickness would not be 8. That would be
no.
very not safe.
That's going to sting. That's going to need stitches.
You're going to feel that. You've got to start a college fund.
Indeed.
For that. So they don't find all the shit, like I said. Now the medical examiner comes and they end up looking at Chad and everything like that, and they find that Chad was shot twice, once in the back of the right shoulder and once in the left butt cheek.
Oh.
So as he was
running
the other way, so he got shot twice here. The examiner determined that the gunshot wounds caused him to bleed to death within minutes. So the poor guy bled to death in the woods.
Within minutes.
within minutes.
Oh, that's so long.
Yeah, that's
horrific.
Bleeding to death in the cold, muddy woods is
no thanks.
A terrible way to go. Yeah. That's awful. I mean, that's Mr. Buttersworth deserves better than that. He never thought that's how he was going out. I don't like it at all. So yeah, the lack of there wasn't any gunpowder around the wounds or anything like that, but they didn't think he was shot at very close range based on that. There's no evidence of it. They determined that the bullets removed came from a .30 caliber weapon. The examiner said he was reasonably certain that the bullets were Winchester Supreme Ballistic silver tips, but because of the damage to the bullets, he wasn't able to positively identify or determine the exact weight of the bullets, the grain and all that shit. So he was a little bit... They're unsure of that. The ballistics are going to be impossible. They know sort of what he was shot with, which that seems like a .30 caliber. That seems like a popular hunting caliber, I would think, in the woods.
I mean, yeah. Yeah,
a lot of people might have that. Maybe
the 30-06 is a pretty big,
right? Like, I mean, it wouldn't be uncommon. You wouldn't be like, "There's only one guy in the county with a .30 caliber." It's Tex Mashanahan,
It's pretty common.
There'd be a few people running around with a .30 cal.
Everybody's picking off deer with those.
That's what I mean.
It's a very common thing.
I assume there's deer running all over this fucking place.
It's just bananas. He's getting shot with a rifle. That's not very
not
common, right?
But it's common in our world, in small town murder. Small town murder, you don't get a lot of someone coming up and bucking 8 shots to the dome piece on anybody. No. It's mainly like some weird trying to shoot at a rifle with them from 8 feet away in the front yard while they jump back and forth behind a Geo Metro for cover. It's very strange, everything we cover here. Right. So Jesse Fain, they interviewed him. Jesse Fain says that he got a call from work at about 10 o'clock to tell him that Chad had been shot. And after he received the call, he rushed home to find out Chad was dead. And that day, he was planning to leave work early to join the syrupin party. Yeah. And people are leaving work early for this.
I can't believe
this. Everyone leave work. The Wolf Show is on, and then we're syrupin. So everyone put it on their calendars.
I don't leave work for my kids' fucking award ceremonies.
This is a big day.
This is bananas.
Well, you've never been asked to syrup, though, Jimmy. I told you, we're syrupin tomorrow. I'm sorry, but you're calling in. That's all there is to it. So, So according to Jesse, he had been at the Maple site. Now they're calling it a Maple site instead of a syrupin camp. It's a syrupin camp, a Maple site. I'm very confused. He'd been there the previous night, and afterwards, he and Chad went to Ken's house for a short visit. And he said, because they asked him, did you observe? They're asking everybody, did you observe Chad have any kind of tension with anybody? Right. And because around him, there's 11 other people with all the kids and his brother and everybody's family. In this small area, there's a bunch of people. So those are the obvious people they're going to look at first. There's a family dynamic, as we cover on the show. That's what it often is. That's what it is.
That's suspects number 1 through, in this case, 37.
38, whatever. So Jesse says he observed no tension between Ken and Chad during the visit. They were amiable and getting along just fine. He also recalls having a conversation with Chad a week or so before about the construction business. Apparently, Chad was in a construction business with a friend of his named Kenneth Anderson. And
I got another Ken.
And according to Jesse, Chad planned to stop working with this Anderson guy. And they were just talking about I'm not going to do the construction thing with him anymore. I'm going to concentrate more on my syrup. And, foraging for berries or whatever the hell else you do out there. Yeah, exactly. So they talked to Ken Swedberg, who's the brother. Right. And he tells everybody that the last time he saw Chad was at his house the night before with him and Jesse, which is all checking out. He said they had no disagreements during the meeting. Everything was fine. He does acknowledge that he and Chad have had conflicts in the past, as brothers do. They have conflicts. He said, but the relationship had been good lately. And, they've had no beef in a long time. Everything's been fine. He said that Ken said on the day that Chad died that Ken woke up around 7:15, went outside to his truck to... Okay. Everybody's good. No one does anything normal here. No one's like, he got up, he had a cup of coffee, he fucking looked at his phone for a while and then he went outside.
There's never a moment on this show that I get more excited when you go, he went out to this too, and then you go, okay.
It's just one of those where
I know this is about to get fun.
I can't just say it in a sentence like it's normal. That's why it has to be prefaced with something. He woke up around 7:15 and immediately went outside to his truck to stir some corn syrup that he fed his bees.
What? You got to stir it.
He's got a corn syrup
jar
stuff, a slurry of some corn syrup mixture that he immediately upon waking up needs to go outside in the cold to stir so he can feed it to his bees, because he has bees.
Okay.
Bees and syrup, honey and fucking syrup, and what the fuck is happening?
They got a lot of shit to drizzle on things.
What are you people doing up there? Is all you care about sticky substances to go atop breakfast foods? What the fuck is wrong with you people? What's happening in rural Minnesota?
That bee farming is a motherfucker, though. My friend does it in Idaho, and it is crazy what they
nuts.
do.
Yeah, they're crazy.
I would never want to do that.
We need bees scientifically,
right.
So people raise bees. Good shit. Keep them going.
Keep doing it. And don't do weird shit so that we have to talk about it.
Yeah, stay in your weird things and use your smoke and put your mask on, and I don't know what the hell you guys are doing.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about a healthy, delicious item, Hero Bread. And we're both trying to get healthier this new year. Jimmy had a eye-opening doctor's appointment and things like that. So we're trying to get healthier, and I'm telling you right now, this Hero Bread is a good step in this direction. It's delicious, and it is really good for you, and it's really excellent. They have the sliced bread is good, the bagels, the tortillas. I know you've been
they're terrific.
Ranting about the tortillas. They're so good. With Hero Bread, you can focus on your health goals and still indulge in the soft, fluffy experience you love, but guilt-free. I really love the little Hawaiian rolls, too.
Yeah.
They're so good. They're so good. The Hawaiian rolls, they're legit. They're fluffy. They're exactly how you want them to be. You'd never know it's low-carb and high-fiber bread from the texture. You get the soft, fluffy experience you know and love with your savory breakfast sandwich, late-night grilled cheese, Taco Tuesday. Do it. No compromises, just flavor, ultra-low net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, high in fiber. It's fantastic. Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use the code SmallTownMurder at checkout. That's SmallTownMurder at HERO.co.
And now back to the show.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you all sorts of good stuff about Chime. That's what I'm talking about. There's so many extra fees you have to pay in life. Everything. You go to the airline, there's an extra ticket on that. There's extra fee on every fees and fees, hotels, fees, all this type of stuff. We're trying to make progress, and the next thing you know, here comes another fee coming at you, and it's more money than you expected, and your whole math is thrown off, and it's awful. Learn more at chime.com/smalltownmurder. Chime is great with that stuff. I mean, you can't beat if your things are a little tight, especially around the holidays or after the holidays. You need that money a couple days early, or you go grocery shopping. You got a car payment due. There's so many things that don't cross over exactly how you want them to cross over. Make progress toward a better financial future with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/smalltownmurder. That's chime.com/smalltownmurder. Feels like progress. Banking services and debit cards provided by Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A., members FDIC. Spot Me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs.
And now back to the show.
He used a drill with a paint mixer attached to stir the syrup.
That's what you gotta.
That's how. So it's got to be a lot of syrup. We're not talking about like a pot, like you're boiling a pound of macaroni or something. This is like he's got to have a vat.
You can't take like a soup ladle to stir that.
That's what I mean. Right. Yeah, this isn't even like
concrete.
Yeah, this isn't even like one of those outboard motors you cook with. One of those little like you bang some tomatoes out from the can. Nothing like that. This is he had a drill with a paint mixer. He's not fucking around.
I guess his boat still had the trolling motor.
Oh, you fucking know. Yeah, he was just going to dip that in there. He's like, that's about a 5 horsepower. I'm going to kick it up to medium here. Really control these smallmouth bass here. So after stirring the syrup, Jesus Christ, he and his wife's son and his wife's son Thomas and his daughter, they all got on the bus at 7:40 a.m. I'm sorry, not his wife, but his wife's son and his daughter. Both get on the bus and go at 7:40 a.m. to school.
Got it.
Now, he thought it was odd that Thomas was on time for the bus because he was always running late, which was a thing that he said it was weird because he was always running late. Eventually, though, he went back in the house and began to...
Okay.
Okay. He began to work on the pollen patties that he was making for his bees.
What?
I don't know. I'm learning so much today. Apparently, you make pollen patties for your bees.
So does that mean you got to go harvest that shit out of like daisies or something?
Apparently, you mix up some stuff and then you make
fucking
patties.
cake
and I guess like burgers, and you put them. I don't know what he's doing.
A bee burger.
A bee burger.
Okay.
But between the syruping and the evaporating and the condensing and the patties and the pollen and the corn syrup,
They are busy as fuck.
Very busy people doing nothing productive. No one's building a house or running a business. But I guess this is a business. I don't fucking know. I suppose it's a business, right?
I imagine. I mean, bees make a shitload
They make
of money,
and I guess there's probably a demand for syrup. I don't fucking know. I'm sure some weird organic syrup would probably sell for a fortune.
I don't know what kind of money syrup makes.
I don't know.
I'm out of there. I'm out of that game. But
Diane Keaton did that in that movie that time in the 80s.
Which one?
She made baby food. Never mind.
Okay,
It's
same thing.
The same shit. I think there was syrup involved. I don't know. She moved to Vermont. It was one of those 80s movies where, a yuppie career person just cares about their career. Now they're stuck with this baby. What do they do? They move to the, middle of nowhere and they're so miserable. And how do you change diapers? And then they end up that horse shit.
What a plot.
So, how it goes.
I mean, Michael Keaton did the same goddamn movie just as a dad.
He didn't move to Vermont to make baby food, though, like this fucking lady
But he
did.
had to figure out how to...
She became famous.
Really?
This was her big thing. Yeah, she was just pushing so hard for success, and all she had to do was take this baby to Vermont and then just fucking, dig into that life, and then she'd finally be famous and successful because, that's how it works.
I love that Mr. Dad was like...
Mr. Mom.
Mr. Dad would be like, for real.
It's a knockoff movie. Mr. Dad. It's a knockoff movie. It stars like somebody you've never heard of.
Like Todd Greeton or something.
Hey, Mr. Dad, how you doing? And he's holding the baby up with the blower in the bathroom, and he's like, yeah, see, look at that. I'm washing his ass. All right. It's not as good.
Mr. Mom was just teaching. Mr. God damn it! I can't think of the title
it's Mr.
now.
Mom,
It's Mr. Mom. It's just showing how dumb we are and we can't do it.
Look at that! Oh God!
Oh, isn't it hilarious that he tried?
He fed the baby chili. Of course, it was going to shit everywhere. Duh. Good Lord, who feeds their baby chili?
Unbelievable.
But I love that movie anyway,
It is.
I love Michael Keaton.
He's one of the greatest actors.
I just
ever.
love him comedically.
So good.
He's the funniest son of a bitch. He just gets me every time. Yeah. So anyway, here, he gets on the bus. It's got bee pollen patties here. Jesus Christ! At around 8:45, his wife Lisa left to take their daughter to an appointment at the school, some kind of appointment. After his wife left, he went outside and did some work in his shop. He also tied down his truck so he could feed his bees.
Tied it down.
I don't know if the collective wings of all the bees will make his truck actually.
Are they ravenous?
Lift from the ground?
You got cornmeal? We will fuck your truck up.
They're the killer bees. They're the Africanized ones from the 90s that were coming for swarms. Yeah, that's what happened here. I don't know what happened, but apparently you have to tie your truck down so you can feed your bees. So next time you feed your bees, fucking remember that, Jimmy. I know you're always losing your truck over that shit. So after that, he went back to his house to make sandwiches. Not for the bees.
No?
People sandwiches.
Okay.
He just made people sandwiches. I'm expecting bee sandwiches.
All day he's just serving them food.
Serving food, making shit. He's like a short order cook in there. The little rotary thing with the tickets on it. God damn it. Another fucking patty melt? Jesus Christ. Fine.
All these bees, they're so picky.
Jesus Christ. Can you guys all eat at once? So, he makes sandwiches. Eventually, Leslie called him and told him to come to the Maple site because something's wrong with Chad, and he drove his four-wheeler to the site. So that's his deal. He said at the site, he took the phone away from Leslie and talked to 911 because she was not having a good time. Then he met police on the four-wheeler and did the perimeter and said, what the fuck are you idiots doing and all that. Ken seems to be in control of shit. Yeah. Leslie now was interviewed, and they interviewed her. And that's when they learn about that her and Chad had gotten married, but their family doesn't know about it. Oh, his family doesn't know about it because they don't like her. Leslie also said that Ken and Chad, the brothers, had a bee business together, and that Ken ripped Chad off in the bee business. Oh. This bee business is shady.
It is. It's cutthroat.
It's kind of like On the Wire.
Oh,
you got You got Prop Joe is they need the product, so they got to sell Prop Joe's product, and they're coming in, and he was trying to send, and he got ripped. Never mind.
Did you just try to compare bees to fucking?
It's the same thing.
Turf wars and drugs.
It's whether it's fucking heron or bees. Same thing. What? You got territory, you got a product, and you're slinging it.
Bees are territorial.
I assume bees are legal is the only difference, but still, though, I feel like my bees are better than his bees. It's like drugs. Like, they step on their shit way more than we do. My shit's in its purest form.
Wow.
Broken down from the molten rocks for you in its purest form. Get some Gravedigger on that ass. That's right. Fine. You can bring up Tim McGraw. Bring up Gravediggers. Let's do this shit. I like it. I'll take mine in a fight. So... Anyway, so she says that Ken ripped Chad off in the bee business, and Chad was not fucking happy about it. And also, recently, Ken had tricked Chad out of land that was in their family or something by having him unknowingly sign a quick claim deed. He lied to him and told him he was signing something else. So Ken had screwed Chad over in the bee business and fucking scammed him out of land. Yeah. So that's what Leslie's saying. Like, hey, everything is not perfect with Ken. Don't let him tell you that.
No, the cops side-eyeing Ken.
That's the thing. Yeah. And also, Leslie says, in addition to all of that, there was also conflicts within their own household. Mm-hmm. He said, that there was beef there, and he also had beefs in our house. Like, shit was, she said that all my family members are here. She said that for the most part, Chad was cool about the living arrangements, and he's a pretty easygoing guy. Mm-hmm. He's a Maple man.
Right.
The Maple men are known for you can't be
patience.
That's the thing. You can't be you can't even pour syrup quickly.
Right.
You can't be I couldn't do syrup because I'd be like, will you fucking hurry up already? It would just lose my mind. Yeah. Like, it seems like you have to have patience. It's got to pour out slow. Right. And then you have to cook it and evaporate.
You can watch it go through the lines coming out of the tree.
Yeah, and condense it and then stare at it longingly in the dew light. That's what ends up happening. So, he's got to be a patient guy. So they said he was generally patient, but on occasion he would tell her, I just want everybody to fucking move out. I just want to live in peace for 2 seconds, like the Wolfman does.
Right.
If you're jealous of the wolf guy, like, your life is...
Shit at home ain't right.
Shit is not perfect here. She says, other than Ken, she couldn't think of another person who would want to harm Chad, other than Ken, because just to get him out of the picture for whatever Chad would try to claim or sue Ken for.
Sure.
She suggested that the investigators speak with a friend of his that would know better than her what her husband, anybody who might have beef with her husband, talk to Kenneth Eugene Anderson. Talk to this guy. And we've brought his name up before.
There's another Ken.
The other Ken. The other Ken. We'll call him Kenneth to differentiate here. It. Kenneth Anderson here with an E, although that's fucked up in the newspaper and the court documents. One it's messed up. So,
the guy that played for the Magic. Every time I said, that wasn't
the Royals. Played for the Royals, Jimmy. The Expos. Crime and sports driver. Jimmy looked at me like, I don't get it. Oh yeah, that's the other show.
Never mind.
We're not in that show. Yeah, okay. So that's fucking great. So they speak to Kenneth Anderson here a few days after the death. They talk to him. They say he tells investigators him and Chad grew up together, and a few people that they talk to describe them as best friends. Because they've known each other since childhood and they still hang out. If you've known someone since you're 10 and you still hang out with them in your 30s, you just go, I guess that's my best friend. I don't know. I've known him forever.
Brother. You call him all kinds of.
Yeah, it's just whatever.
They're very close.
They're very close. Like, Kenneth was a pallbearer at the funeral.
Oh, okay.
So he's close. The family, everybody knows he's close. It's known. Unlike Chad's wife, they know that Ken's close to him. They know that Kenneth is close to him, unlike the wife, who they don't know is his wife.
And that close.
Yeah, they just think, what a nice guy letting that whole family live there. With no sexual
that is a fucking great
motivation.
Point.
What an amazing man he is. Come live in the woods in my house. Everybody. No, you got a son with how many kids? Your sister needs a place too? We got room. Come on in.
And the family's like, as long as you don't marry her, it's fine.
Yeah, just don't marry her. Son's your age. So on August 17th, back a little bit, August 17th, 2006, because we're in April of 2007, he talks about how there's an issue here. He doesn't talk about this, but they find out while Chad and Kenneth Anderson were working in a building in Rousseau County, they were constructing a pole building.
Okay.
A pole building?
I don't know.
What the fuck is a pole? I don't understand anything in this episode. A pole building, and there was a reported theft of an all-terrain vehicle, so that somebody stole an ATV from the residence that they were working at there. So Anderson ends up later on being charged with felony theft for taking this ATV from this residence there. Now, at some point, Kenneth finally told Chad, okay, he confessed and said, I took the fucking ATV. Because they were asking Chad about it, and he's like, I don't know anything about it. I don't know what you're talking about. Right. And so finally, Kenneth, they were like, the cops were asking them. Finally, Kenneth said, look, dude, I took it. That's what's going on here. So, he said that Anderson and his stepnephew had stolen the ATV, and they end up, the sheriff's department in November of 2006, end up finding the stolen ATV behind Chad's residence.
Oh no!
And the investigation revealed that this stolen ATV was now registered to Kenneth Anderson's mother.
What?
So they stole an ATV and then registered it to Kenneth Anderson's mother.
That's dumb.
Which is the stupidest thing you could do. Yeah, you don't steal something then register it to yourself. I won't register it to me.
You don't register it at fucking all.
I'll register it to my mom. They'll never find me that way. They'll think my mom. They'll think a 65-year-old lady stole an ATV and registered it in her own name.
Well, now you're gonna get her arrested, you dipshit.
So yeah, apparently, so the police found this ATV there, and so they went to Chad and said, excuse me, this is on your property, and he denied any knowledge of it, and he called Kenneth Anderson while an investigator was listening in, and then handed the phone to the investigator, and they end up charging, because he basically got him to confess to doing it because he didn't want to fucking go to jail for it. So Kenneth, was charged with the theft of the ATV, and Chad was super fucking unhappy that he did that he ditched it on his resident, on his property. Basically like, hey, if someone's going to get arrested, it's him. Asshole. Well, this is nothing new for Kenneth. Let's talk about Kenneth's record a little bit here, because it goes back quite a ways, and he's got quite a bunch of shit happening here, because he's born in 71, so this starts when he's about 20 years old. Starts in 1991, where he's arrested and convicted of theft by swindle.
Okay. Whoa.
So that's
fascinating.
Talks somebody out of something. Yeah. Also,
gypsied him.
Yeah, that's, I guess, what they're doing. Hey, man, he gypsied him good. Also, defrauding an insurer at that point, and that might have been the same thing because the court date was the same day. So those are all together. The 1999, he's arrested for writing a bad check to a market for $60.24. So that's pretty sad. He's there. He ends up pleading guilty to that. Now, let's talk about this. After this, in 2001 is when the DUIs pile up here. We have one here, which is his second DUI over 0.10. Yeah, the blood alcohol content within 15 years. He gets here. This is in 2001. Now he also, this is fucking crazy. At the same time, he gets a second over 0.10 within 12 hours.
Whoa.
I don't know how the fuck you do that.
He got out and went drinking.
He got 2 fucking Deweys in 12 hours.
Unbelievable.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
First of all, to get out in 12 hours is pretty fucking remarkable. Yeah. Like that's a small town. I guess they don't have a lot going on in the court. You get arrested at midnight. They process you. You're at court at 8 a.m. You make bail at 10. You're out. You're drinking, and by fucking noon, they're busting you again.
Well, I mean, you got problems. You got shit to drink about.
Yeah, you don't get in the goddamn car though. Take that shit home with you.
Learn it.
So yeah, he does that. That's not terrific. Obviously, he ends up being convicted of the second DUI within 15 years, and they kind of roll those all into one. But he's got some DUI issues. So that's 3 DUIs were in one court hearing in 2001. There that he had to deal with. Also in that, later on that year, is failure to comply with an order. I think it was a probationary thing that he wouldn't comply with.
Well, I mean, he could.
I think it was one of the breathalyzer things in your car you're supposed to have, and he didn't put it in.
Well, I mean, he doesn't comply at all. They told him don't drink and drive.
Yeah,
he went and did it again.
He went and did it just fine. He's not thinking at all.
Comply? He doesn't know how.
Comply? What now? What? Pray tell. What does comply mean? No, also open container. So he was drinking in the car, which is always smart when you're got a bunch of DUIs. You want to do that. Next is 2003. He is arrested for failure to display registration on an ATV. Apparently he had an ATV and he was driving it on the road with no registration, and that ends up happening. The next year, 2004, I guess it's some probationary, or not a probationary, he's pulled over and refuses to take a drug test, refuses to take a blood test. He would only do the breathalyzer, and they wanted to test his blood, and he wouldn't do it. So they charged him with driving under the influence, and no blood alcohol though. He was on pills this time.
Oh,
they think so. That's what they have him there. He's convicted of that also. Driving later on, after cancellation of his license, he gets arrested for, because once he's out, after that, he is driving again with just no license. Yeah. He wasn't drunk that time, so good for him. Oh wait, no, he was.
Oh,
he was drunk
God.
there. Sorry, just kidding. What do we think? He was driving sober? No, gets out of jail, license is canceled due to DUI, so he gets arrested for, again, this is alcohol concentration over 0.08, and it's within a couple years. So, he's fucked. Oh, by the way, a few months later, guess what he gets? What? Another fucking DUI.
Jesus, man.
Another influence of alcohol, DWI, this is, driving it while impaired, convicted of this as well. So he is just a fucking pile of DW and DUIs and scams and schemes and shit going on. He's just an unseemly character.
Right.
This guy. He's an unseemly. You wouldn't trust him around your syrup.
No. He doesn't learn, and he loves drinking.
That's the thing.
It's his favorite.
It's loves it. Loves it. So Chad Swedberg, our dead guy here, he had decided that he did not want to continue working with Kenneth Anderson, because he's trying to set him up for stolen ATVs and shit.
He's drunk all day.
And he's drunk and driving around. And Chad and his wife agreed that Chad would look for a different job. He wouldn't work with him anymore. Now, Chad told his stepson that he was going to stop working with Ken and just get another job. And about a week before he died, he also decided not to participate in a business with Anderson. Oh. Kenneth Anderson wanted Chad to go into the leeching business with him.
Okay.
Yeah. So bees, syrup, and leeches now we have. Leeching. He wanted to get a bunch of leeches and have a business based on that.
He wanted to go farm leeches?
Yeah.
And then breed them?
Buy them and breed them and have them do leech stuff.
How do you do that?
What century is it again? Oh, cell phones. I forgot. Without the cell phones, what fucking century is this in? Without cell phones and ATVs, we're talking this happened in 1885.
Good
what is
Lord.
Fucking happening here? Jesus Christ.
How do you even get, the only way I know to get leeches is you pass out in a rowboat, on the Great Outdoors.
The Great Outdoors, you wake up with Dan Aykroyd and you go, oh, Jesus, they're all over.
And then everybody's pointing at each other. It's on your face. It's on your face.
Or if you try to find a dead body, that's what happens too, as in Stand By Me. You get them in your nutsack.
That's so gross.
That was bad stuff.
They are ugly.
They're nasty.
I can't believe that somebody wants to grow those.
They have certain uses, though, medically now.
Yeah.
I read in Russia, the leeching is a huge deal in Russian medicine at the moment, which kind of doesn't surprise me over there. I feel like it's just we put on you because it hurt. But I have a hangnail. We put on your face. Okay. But they have I can't remember, 10 million leeches a year are sold in Russia for medical purposes. So I don't know if this is a Russian leech pipeline that he's trying to start or what's going on. But I tried to research leeching a little bit, but there's not a lot out there. I got to be honest with you. So Kenneth used his cell phone the morning of Chad's death to call Chad at 7:46 a.m. He told police that he called Chad to look for a ride because he needed to go to Fargo to apply for a loan. We'll talk about this. His whole day was applying for bank loans to get leeches. Okay. He went around to people that took a shower in the morning, put dress clothes on, got in a car and went to work and got out and sat behind a desk. And he said, I'd like to borrow a bunch of money so I can buy a shitload of leeches. And they said, pardon? He's leeches. I'm going to buy a shit. No, that's your collateral, leeches. Yeah, if I don't pay it back, just come get my leeches. Yeah. And they're like,
What collateral you got? I'm going to have leeches.
I'm going to have a lot of leeches.
Shitload of them.
But that depends on you right there, sir. You signed that little paper.
What do you say, Tim? Hand me those leech monies.
Problem is, I don't have leeches yet. See my problem here? If I have leeches, I can get more leeches. That's how this works.
This is terrible.
This is amazing. Yeah. So, he's going to Fargo to apply for a loan, but Chad declined because he said that he was going with Al Baker to go syrupin that morning. So that's what ended up happening there. Kenneth Anderson calls Albert Baker right after that at 7:52 a.m. and asked Baker to stop on his way to Chad's to look at a tank that he wanted to use to store leeches.
Okay. They just go in a tank? That's what it is?
I don't know if it's a special leech tank.
You just pile them all
Jimmy,
in there?
I'm at the end of
Is
my...
that how they live?
I am at the end of my rural rope right now. I don't fucking have any idea what... This is when I realize I'm sheltered, I guess. I don't know. I don't know things.
I'm happy. I don't want to know that.
Yeah.
That seems disgusting.
I would think you put them in a fish tank. I don't fucking know, but it's a tank. I don't know how big.
You got to put dirt in there, and they live underground. What do they
water?
do?
Aren't they in the water? I hear it's like it's always.
I imagine they're in
great
water.
Outdoors. It's the water, and Stand By Me, water, swamp, swampy areas,
swamps. That's why they're gross because they're in the shit areas.
They grow in mud and shit.
Yep.
Grossness. So
vile.
So he wanted to use this to store the leeches. Albert Baker said he'll stop by and look over the tank because he's that kind of guy.
Yeah.
You need a tank checked for any syrup, bees, leeches. I'm your fucking guy. Syrup and bees and leeches. Oh my. What the fuck is happening here? So Albert said, though, I got to stop and buy some groceries first because I'm responsible for the syrup party's lunch this day.
Okay.
Literally, that was the reason why. He was responsible for making sandwiches for the syrup party's lunch, this old man.
Got it.
So Kenneth said that Baker was supposed to be at his house by 8:30, but Albert said that Kenneth knew that Albert needed to go to Wabon to get groceries first, and that Kenneth did not set any specific time that he was supposed to be there. He's like, he just said, come by before you go to Chad's. He didn't say when you had to be here. So Kenneth told police that he had a tax preparer's appointment at 9 or 9:30. He can't do his own tax. What the fuck could he possibly be doing with his finances that he can't do his own tax? I do my own tax. You do your taxes this year?
I did them.
I did my taxes this year, and we have weird stuff in different states and all sorts of shit. I did my fucking taxes. What is selling a couple of leeches and 5 construction jobs you need a tax preparer for? What the hell is this guy doing?
Unless he owns the business, I imagine he's writing off the gas, writing off...
He's not. You think he went down and filed for an LLC?
I think maybe...
I don't think so. No.
I don't think you can probably spell LLC.
He asked to be paid in leeches. That's not legal tender. That's not. You can't claim I made 40,000 leeches last year. That's not an income. They don't know how to tax that. What do you owe them, leech parts?
You owe us 13% of your leeches.
13 leeches. We'd like to have lots of them. This shit is crazy. So he had a tax appointment there. He said he also had an appointment with a banker at 11 o'clock and that he left for the appointments between 8:30 and 9 a.m. But first called his cousin about 9:17 a.m. to ask for a ride to Fargo, and Kenneth's cousin agreed to drive him to Fargo at 9:30 a.m. So Anderson again contacted his cousin while his cousin was on the way and asked his cousin to meet him at his sister's house, which was on the way to his house. So it was actually before his house. Anderson's cousin says he would, and he then he and Anderson left to meet with Anderson's tax preparer at that point. Right. So he was at 9, around somewhere past 9:34. At that point, he's seen with people. He's at his sister's house. And other people are around. So before that, we don't really have any accounting for where Kenneth Anderson is, other than his phone calls and his, frantically preparing his tax documents, which obviously are just not in order.
Disarray. Yeah.
Completely. So Anderson arrived at his tax preparers between 9:45 and 10. So his appointment was not at 9 or 9:30 as he claimed, but rather it was 2 o'clock in the a.m. But he had it fucked up. They said that it was very common for him to arrive either very, very early or very, very late for appointments. Kind of like people who are so drunk they can't keep track of what they're doing.
Like an alcoholic.
Like an alcoholic who's like, I know I have to do my tax thing. I think it's at 9 and it's at 2, or I think it's at 2 and it's at fucking 9. So there's one or the other. He doesn't know, but that's common for him in all appointments. Apparently, he met his tax preparer and then he went to Moorhead to attempt to obtain a loan. He didn't have an appointment like he told police he did, so that was something that was a lie. But he was supposed to meet with the branch manager of a financial. He was supposed to meet with the bank branch manager the day before and never came. So he's a day late for this one. So he was meeting with the branch manager here, and his cell phone rang, and he answered it. And he told this day he told the branch manager that his business partner had just been shot and he had to leave.
Oh no!
So this was the call he got about Chad. But when he returned to his cousin who was in the vehicle, Kenneth told him that Chad's brother Ken had been shot. So it's weird. Then he has a different story for his cousin. He said Chad's brother got shot. So that was very odd because he just told the branch manager that his business partner got shot, and he's never been in business with Ken Swedberg, only with Chad Swedberg. So he tells police that his nephew told him that Ken Swedberg had been shot, and that he called a second time shortly after and told Kenneth that Ken Swedberg was dead. Okay. So his cousin was mixed up here. So at this point, Anderson's niece said that she only spoke to Anderson once, though, and she told him that Chad had been shot, not Ken. Okay. So all of his statements are inconsistent with what everybody else says.
A lot of miscommunication happening.
Yeah, and it all seems to be on him. Yeah. Everybody else has their story straight. So on the day of Chad's funeral, Kenneth Anderson opened a bank account and told the bank manager another story about what happened the day of the murder. He said that Kenneth had stopped by his house, that he stopped by Chad's house to see if Chad wanted to go to South Dakota to buy leech traps. And he said that he told the bank person that. Yeah. So he said that he puts himself at the scene of the murder that morning with somebody else. So he's told a million different things. And now they talk about the year before, September of 2006, Chad had bought Kenneth a gun. It's a Tika T3 Light 300 Winchester short magnum rifle. Okay. It's a 30 caliber deal here. Okay. And a Nikon Buckmaster rifle scope at Reed's Sporting Goods store in Walker, Minnesota.
I don't know what that gun is, but 300 is a 300 blackout maybe, where it's like a 30 caliber bullet wedged into a 5.56 shell. You know what I mean?
It beats the shit out of me.
It could be that.
It's a rifle. It'll kill shit in the woods, I assume. That's what I'm assuming.
Those are like an AR-looking weapon.
Okay, though. Combat-looking shit.
Yeah.
So, so police asked Kenneth about the rifle, and Kenneth said that Chad had traded it in for 2 muzzle loaders then. So in November. So he said, I don't have those rifles.
I doubt it was an AR then, because you rarely trade that in for muzzle loader.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they were like old school black powder muzzle loaders, those are worth a shitload of money. The people that are into that, like, I know people that have those, like those old timey. They restore those. Yeah, they make if you can restore those, you make a fortune restoring black powder rifles from the 1800s and shit. So anyway, the Tika, whatever it is, rifle that Chad bought for Anderson was found later that day, though, and we'll talk about this. It was found later that day, concealed under the insulation of an outbuilding near Kenneth Anderson's house.
Oh, that's weird.
That's weird. And Kenneth Anderson's palm print was on the gun also. So this is interesting. They also, Anderson, they say, acted suspiciously when they went to look through his house. They had a search warrant, and they didn't, when they got there, though, this is weird. They didn't initially tell Kenneth that they had a search warrant. And they asked him if they could search the house just to see what he would do. Yeah. You know, see if he would go, no, fuck no. And then they'd be like, well, we have a warrant. We're going to search anyway. But just to see his reaction to it. I don't know if you're the legalities of that, or if you're supposed to say you when you have a fucking warrant. Okay. But he consented to it. Kenneth Anderson said, yeah, go ahead, look around my house. That's fine. So he told the investigators when he owned the gun, the Tika, he used 150 grain ammunition with a special tip. They asked him if he fired the gun ever, and he said that he did. And he brought investigators to 2 different areas on his property that he had fired the gun. He said he gave them consent to search the house. Prior to giving consent, though, he made what they called special conditions on how they were allowed to search, which you can't control a police search like you might think you can. He said that he didn't want, quote, a bunch of marked squad cars coming down while he was conducting his leeching business. Like there's just a fucking line. Like he's got like he's got a food truck with just an endless line of people getting sandwiches. How many people are coming over for leeches?
Yeah. He's like, you guys got to keep it down. The leeches are sleeping.
You don't understand. Yeah. You're going to disturb them and fucks them all up.
They're not worth as much if they're all stressed out.
His leeching bit. He didn't want to disturb the traffic of his leeching business, which is fucking hilarious. Conducting his leeching. I got leeches to conduct here. You know, I need some time. So they said, sure, no problem. We'll steer clear of all your leeching and everything here. So he also offered. He said that. He said you can follow me around in the morning, make sure I'm not doing anything. I'm fine. You know, you're not he was trying to say, I'm not suspicious. Now, there was an officer, John MacArthur, was assigned to kind of hang out with him around the house. And he said that Kenneth, quote, reeked of booze, which not surprising.
Sounds like par for the course.
He's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
He was sweating and starting to pace back and forth.
Uh-oh.
Eventually, he ran out of the barn and started to dry heave, but nothing came out. You know, like if you're an alcoholic and you haven't drank yet that morning, that's kind of what happens. So, he's dry heaving. He's got all this shit going on. And they said that was repeated at least 3 times.
Wow.
Where he's sweating and pacing and dry heaving and coming back and reeking of like night before booze.
Yeesh.
Yeah, Kenneth is a mess.
Stink.
He's a fucking mess. That's a disgusting state of affairs. Yeah, just some of that dry heat. Oh, God.
That feeling is horrific. Like that dry, or the
nothing's there.
Right, and you're cold, but then there's water pouring down your face.
Just your insides are coming out, or squeezing together. Now, this police officer said he didn't know if Kenneth was drunk, but he didn't think so because he probably wouldn't be. He'd probably have something to throw up probably if he was drunk. Yeah. One of those things.
That's a good point.
He's probably not drunk is the problem, the issue here. So they proceeded to search the outbuildings, and as they do this, this is when Kenneth Anderson becomes angry and starts getting all angry, and his brother Frank, then he starts yelling that my brother Frank owns these buildings and this isn't my shit, and Frank doesn't want you searching the buildings and you have to get his permission and this isn't mine. And Frank, though, had only said that he didn't want his house searched. He didn't say anything about those buildings. He just said, you can't search my house. So the officer said that, and then after that a bunch more officers came down. And that's when he really freaked out. He's like, this is just what I asked for. You know, you got all these cops here. This is bullshit. And at this point, they go, well, we have a search warrant. So what you're telling us you are allowing us to do doesn't even fucking matter.
We can do whatever we want.
We can do whatever we want. So get over there and fuck off, which they probably should have just told him that to begin with. But they were trying to see if they could get him to do anything that would incriminate him and incriminate himself or just give a clue, basically. So, I don't know, trying to do police work, I guess. So they end up doing that. This is when he gets super fucking pissed. Super pissed. At this point, he says he's leaving. And he leaves and goes to Grand Forks. He takes the fuck off. Bye, I'm leaving, officers. Fine, you can search all you want. You don't have an arrest warrant for me. I'm fucking out of here. So he takes off there. The officers search the barn. They discover 2 guns, the Tikka, like we said before, and a .22 caliber pump action gun there. And the Tikka was found hidden in the rafters of the barn under some insulation. And this barn was owned by his brother Frank, and it didn't have a scope with it. Now, the firearms examiner test-fired the Tikka rifle found in the building and concluded that because of the absence of the rifling, it wasn't possible to do the ballistics match on this gun, but he said that the bullets removed from the body, that gun could have fired the bullets. Basically, they're the same similarity, but not a ballistic match and nothing that's forensically damning, but it's the same type of gun.
Enough.
Yeah. So they talk to some other people here, and they want to know what they're dealing with here. So they talk more to Jesse Fain, his stepson, and his 3 years younger stepson. You know, his stepbrother. So he says, quote, I got along with Chad better than anyone else I've gotten along with. We were just friends. We did everything together. Hunted, fished, wild riced, leeched.
Wow.
He used wild rice as a verb. We wild riced together, he just said. Well, you can buy online wild rice here. We wild riced and leeched together. So they're finding fucking leeches too.
And when
everyone obsessed with leeches and rice in this fucking town?
When rice grows, do you have to pick each kernel off the fucking plant, or do you
very tedious.
Shake it into a bucket?
It's very tedious. Each stalk grows 1 grain of rice on the top, and you have to pick it each time. It's very tedious, Jimmy. It's insane.
A real nightmare.
Yeah, that's why that's why the Chinese are known as such a patient people. It's because they do that. It's very impressive. So these guys get out there, hunted, fished, wild riced, and leeched. That's a fucking quote. That's a direct quote from this man. Wow. He said that he wasn't so fond of Kenneth Anderson, though. Jesse says that he was once in a hunting party with Anderson, and he remembers Anderson visiting the maple syrup camp at least once in the past year to see how things were going. He says that he talked to Chad on the phone that day, on the day he bought that gun, the Tika 300 Winchester. Yeah. And he said that it was at Anderson. He bought it at Reed's Sporting Goods store in Walker, like he said. He said that Anderson paid for it, but Chad purchased it because Anderson didn't have a valid driver's license.
Because
he needed
got DUIs.
Because he's got a million fucking DUIs. So he says that Jesse also testifies that about a week before Chad's death, Chad decided to quit the construction business and told him about it. He says, quote, he had a friend and a contractor in Fargo that he worked with who had a house that had to be effaced with stucco. It would have brought about $10,000 for Chad, and he had 3 or 4 houses after that lined up to efface.
Okay.
So Chad had a whole other thing going on.
Yeah.
Where he was going to make some more dough and all that shit. So they decide to arrest Ken. They go get Ken. He ends up being in North Dakota when they go find him, which isn't that far away. It's not like he ran 10 states over. It's half hour. So he ran to North Dakota. They extradite him back. That's another charge he's got, is an extradition thing. So he's arrested, and they decide to charge him with first-degree premeditated murder.
Oh, they've got some evidence.
So they're going...
Kinda.
So first degree, but they're going premeditated and everything. They're going right for the fucking deal here. They're going for everything. Right away, he wants to challenge the search warrant, which, because he says they didn't. He argues that they should suppress the evidence found on this property. He says there was material misrepresentations and omissions of fact in the search warrant application, and that without these misrepresentations and omissions of fact, the application did not supply probable cause. He didn't say that. I assume his lawyers did. Yeah. The state argues that the contested representations and omissions are not material because even when the contested representations are put aside, the omissions are included. The application still supplied probable cause to search there. Okay. So the district court ends up denying his motion to suppress, saying that it's valid because the misrepresentations were not material. It's all good. Okay. So the most of the alleged misrepresentation and omissions in the search warrant application center around statements made about different weapons that he owned. Like the search warrant said that his step nephew sold him a Tika brand 300 short mag bolt action rifle before it was drafted. However, it did not include the application for a warrant that the Tika rifle was sold to him by his step. So they're like saying, well, they said this exact gun, but they didn't say how he got it correctly. Like they said he got it from here, but he actually got it from there, even though it's the gun they were looking for either way, no matter where the fuck it came from. So that's what they said. That's not important. The point is they're looking for that gun. Where he got it isn't the point. The point is they thought he had it.
If he had it at the time, it doesn't fucking matter where he got it.
Exactly. Right. Search warrant application also stated that a taxidermist told an officer that Anderson told the taxidermist that he shot a fisher. Like a fisherman? Huh? I don't know what the hell a fisher is. He shot a fisher with a 300 short mag rifle, but I don't know what that is.
Is that a
an
fish?
Animal of? I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe it's a bear, and they're like, that fisher.
He goes and pulls them out of the water and eats them like grapes. But
that's what I would do, because I wouldn't know how to fucking say what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Oh, but I guess the taxidermist said that he shot it with a different caliber, so he's saying that those were conflict. But that wasn't even in the search warrant application. But this is what he's bringing up is why you should keep this out of court here.
Okay.
A bunch of shit about the application. He's really, really pissed about this application. Boy, this is the bane of his existence here.
That's his cornerstone of his argument.
That's the cornerstone of his argument. He goes on and on and on. It says that he goes on about statements like, it says that Jesse remembers Chad telling Ken that he wanted Chad to purchase a rifle for him, but then, he said that it didn't happen on this date, but on this date. So then the search warrant's invalid because 8 months ago, the guy got a date wrong of what day he bought the gun. Okay. It's stupid. It's very, very stupid here. So they said they talk about an elk hunting trip with the gun or some shit. It's really pretty fucking pointless. A bunch of arguments on just the search warrant shit. They end up saying that that's the other thing, the footprints here. They talk about how he argues that the search warrant application improperly characterized the evidence found by Ken Swedberg and the police officer, saying that they found possible evidence of foot traffic, and later referring to possible footprints discovered by this captain, the police force here. And it doesn't include the fact that Ken Swedberg saw only a heel of a print and believed the heel of a print to be from Chad in an area where he hunted beaver. river, which is something else you can add to what the fuck they're pulling out of the trees and ground here. He said that Anderson used the term. Anderson objects to the term of the footprints where there was only a heel print. So that's his big argument of like semantics of language of the thing. But when you're up for murder, I guess that's all you have to latch on to here. They said the inclusion of both these omissions would have had no impact on the probable cause determination, and the bulk of the search warrant application focused on firearms and not possible footprints. They said, while greater care in assembling the application would have been preferable, we don't believe that any of the alleged representations or omissions were material to the probable cause determination. So eat dick on that one. The gun's coming into the trial here. Okay. So trial starts, and they talk about how shortly before this happened that Kenneth and Chad's relationship had deteriorated. Chad didn't want to work with him anymore in construction. He didn't want to participate in his leeching business. All the stuff we talked about here. They talk about how Kenneth called Chad at 7:46 the day of the murder. Chad told Kenneth that he was going to make maple syrup with Al Baker. And, so at that point, they say that Kenneth knew Chad would be at the syrupin camp. Because he said, I'm going to meet Al Baker over there. Then he talked to Al Baker, who said, I'm not going to be there for a while, and I'll stop by your house first. Got it. So he knows he's alone. Yeah. He knows that Chad's going to be there alone until Al comes to his house. Okay. So he's got time, is what he's. So, I mean, that's what they're painting, that he knows where everybody is and where all the pieces are. They said that he used his phone to call Baker about the leach tank, and so he knew all of that. Baker agreed to drive to his house, so Anderson was aware that Baker was not going to the syrupin camp until later, is what they're arguing. Kenneth was familiar with the area surrounding the syrupin camp also, because if you're not around there, you don't know. We'd show up and be like, it looks like a lot of woods. We don't know. What's that shit hanging off the trees? Oh, they're collecting syrup.
Why is the ground so sticky?
Yeah. Right. So it's both mushy and sticky. How is that working? So Kenneth had visited the syrupin camp before and hunted in the surrounding woods. And Kenneth Anderson only lived 1.3 miles from the syrupin camp. Right. So they all live in like the woods, basically. They all can walk through trails and ride ATVs to each other's houses. This is some kind of
sounds awesome
hillbilly fantasy camp going on.
Mine is all the fucking work you gotta do. It sounds great.
Mine is fucking with leeches and bees and shit like that, which doesn't sound like fun. So Chad left his house to go to the syrupin camp shortly after 8 when the Wolf program did not air. After he left, his wife heard the gunshots, became worried. I'm just going over what they did here. They talk about every phone call she made to him. She says that the shot was between 8 o'clock and 8:13 a.m. They don't know where there. They also say that Kenneth made false statements to police about his whereabouts around the time Chad was shot. He told police he met his cousin at his cousin's house between 8:30 and 9 in order to go to a 9 or 9:30 appointment. But in fact, he didn't leave for the appointment until after 9:30. So he's leaving, he said 8:30 and 9. It's really 9:30. So there's an hour in there. Which he arranged to have his cousin pick him up. Then they talk about how he was actually at an appointment for 2, and he said it was earlier. He also made false statements about ownership and possession of the Winchester 300 Tikka Winchester short magnum rifle. They said that does shoot 30 caliber bullets, and at the time, the general public believed that Swedberg had been shot with a smaller caliber gun because of the information provided by police, which was on purpose. Yeah. They purposely put out misinformation.
Only the killer knows.
Exactly. So Anderson, though, still, they said, attempted to mislead police concerning his ownership of the rifle, but he didn't try to conceal ownership of any other guns. So even though they said he was shot with a different caliber, he still hid that gun and said all the other guns were fine. Right. So he knew what the caliber was, is what they're saying, basically. Sure. And also they said that he gave consent, and then he became, enraged and angry, and then made a false statement to police saying that his brother didn't want the outbuilding searched when they had talked to him, and he said he didn't care. Yeah. And all that shit. They said that, the gun that he used was capable of firing those bullets to kill Swedberg, blah, 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 blah. They go over the palm print on a gun that was hidden in the insulation when no other guns are hidden. Yeah. There's a lot of factors that are circumstantial but don't look good here. Yeah. Bullets found in his house had characteristics similar to the bullets recovered from the body. As we told you, ballistics can't match them. So now there's some testimony here, and they have, a neighbor who said that they lived on the lake for 39 years. They said they were out of the house and they heard 2 gunshots. He thought it was about 8:30 or 9, but it might have been earlier. He said it was coming from the direction of Swedberg's place over there. He says, though, they're shooting there all the time. It's nothing to get excited about. So that's why they said they thought people were shooting in the woods. Who knows?
It's every day.
He says the shots on the day of the murder sounded like a 30-06 or some kind of 30 caliber hunting rifle.
That is impressive.
This dude from his car driving to the store can tell the caliber of a fucking rifle at a mile away in the woods. That's impressive.
It is.
This dude has heard some gunshots in the woods before. Yeah. Wow. Lisa Swedberg, who's married to Ken Swedberg, this is Chad's sister-in-law here. She testified that she listened to Swap and Shop on KDLM radio.
Yep.
What the fuck is that?
Swap and Shop, you call in and list your item and people can call and buy it from you. It's like fucking audio Craigslist.
So it's 1932?
Yeah,
what are we
that's
talking?
What it is.
What year is it? What fucking year is this? This is 2007, Jimmy. When you heard this, was it 2007? Or was it a lot earlier?
No.
Not 2007.
It probably was.
Why is anyone doing this in 2007?
I don't know.
Do you have there's a million places to buy shit online. What's wrong with you people? And list shit. I'm going to sell my goods on the radio so everyone can see them. Jesus Christ. So she was listening to Swap and Shop until 8:45, then left to take her daughter to a preschool screening. And she said that Ken, her husband, was home the whole time, making pollen patties to be rolled out for honeybees. He manages the bee business, she says, obviously here. A Brad Riggle of another guy said that he's known Chad Swedberg and Kenneth Anderson since he was 13. He got to know them through his older brother. He said that Chad and Leslie, their relationship, that their residence was he was there about 5-6 years ago while he was going with Leslie Fain's daughter. So Chad's friends go out with his wife's daughter because they're all the same age. Yeah, it's just confusing. Terrible. This is, wow. They said he visited like every week after that. He said they had a normal relationship, Leslie and Chad. They got along. They, quote, occasionally argued and sometimes were embarrassingly affectionate toward each other. It went both ways. Like couples are. Sometimes.
Like married people. They're happy.
Yeah, like that goes. He said he also visited Ken Anderson at his house 5 or 6 times a month to fish and hunt or barbecue or just hang out with friends. They said they planned to go to Detroit Lakes for lunch on the day of the shooting, and it got all messed up, him and his friend. They said the plans changed after Anderson called and asked to drive him to Fargo to see a loan officer. The other guy said he would go along, but changed his mind after Anderson asked him if he wanted to go. He said, "Are you sure you want to go? We're going to be in Fargo all day, stuck there." And he was like, "I guess not." So they said that this guy said Anderson seemed to be his normal self that morning, but adding that he said he'd never been excluded like it before, but, quote, "It was his business, so I found something else to do." He thought it was weird that he was trying to get him to not go to Fargo with him.
Got it.
But he's like, I don't know, fucking whatever. Maybe he doesn't want me in his shit, and well, who knows. So he said that after he came home for a while, he learned that Chad had been shot. He called and talked to Leslie, and he says Leslie was crying and in shock, and obviously they said he tried to call Kenneth Anderson 5 times and got no answer. And later he learned that apparently Kenneth Anderson's phone is so fucked up that he can't talk on it for more than like 3 minutes unless he's got it plugged into a charger. That's how fucked up his phone is. He's a mess.
Yeah.
He's got a tank full of leeches, 45 DUIs, and a fucking phone that can't hold a charge for more than 5 minutes.
He's killing it.
How many cracks are on that screen, Jimmy? It's a disaster. Even the back of it's cracked. Yeah. It's all cracked.
The case and everything.
Every time he talks on it, he gets shards of glass in his cheek. This fucking idiot. So, yeah, he got, Jesus Christ, man. So he said that he drove him, that they drove to Fargo, and they asked this guy, quote, "Does your cell phone ring when it's plugged in?" And he said, yes. They said, "Does it ring when it's plugged in and charging and turned off?" And he said, no. I don't know what the significance of that is. So another guy here, he said that Douglas Haverkamp is Kenneth's cousin.
Maybe it was a dude that was just fascinated with cell phones. So how's that work?
So how's that work now? I'm wondering. Because mine, I got to tell you, I don't like. What's your model? Because maybe I'll pick one of them up. I don't like mine.
Does it ring when it's shut off? Because mine doesn't.
Mine doesn't. I'd like it if it did. I'd like to know when. I mean, I want to shut it off, but I also want to know when I'm getting a call. You know what I mean? We're in open court, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. I should ask you more about murders and stuff.
Yeah.
Huh? So how about leeches? What do you know about that? So this guy said that he's Kenneth Anderson's cousin. He also knew Chad Swedberg. He said that they hunted in the woods in the maple syrup camp. And on the day of the shooting, this guy drove Kenneth Anderson to somewhere else to finish his tax return.
Yeah.
And then he drove him to see a loan officer. This was his ride of the day because he was planning on starting a leeching business and needed money to buy leeches. Yeah. Now, later on, a few days later, he's got leeches because he tells the cops, don't fuck up my leeching. I'm conducting my leeching business. Meanwhile, he has no leeches to conduct a leeching business.
So he hasn't even done it.
Yeah, because they said that he couldn't, they said he talked a little about the leeching business, and he said that, he would do the Haverkamp and Chad Swedberg were going to do the leeching and the delivery, and that Anderson would stay home and do the buying and selling. So
he's got the fucking greatest job in the world.
He's going to be wheeling and dealing leeches while everyone else is out
dealing with leeches.
So they said at the loan office, Anderson was only inside for about 5 minutes before he came out to the truck. Haverkamp said, quote, he was running practically. He said Kenny Swedberg had been shot, and then he got a phone call and found out it was Chad. So that's how that went. But he ends up getting rejected from these loans because we'll find out here. Now Haverkamp was it's funny too, even they tried to he's testifying for the prosecution, so they brought up, now you served in Iraq for 7 months, didn't you? And he's like, yes, I did, and you were honorably discharged and all that. Yes, well, thank you so much for your service. And they really tried to, you're an honest man, right? Yeah. They really tried to pump up like that. They literally thanked him for his service in open court.
God, Jesus.
To make him, he's the only person who's not dealing with bees and fucking leeches right now. So, whatever. The branch manager of City Financial testified that Anderson came in. Imagine this guy coming in, scummy from the leech fields, reeking of fucking booze. He's got the DTs and everything else, and he's coming in asking for leech money. What the fuck?
That's the scene. This guy's never going to forget it. He's going to be the best testimonial witness ever because he's going to be like, everybody buckle in. You're not going to believe the shit that I'm about to tell you.
It's fucking crazy. So this Nicole Knudsen here, she testifies that Kenneth applied over the phone for an unsecured $7,500 loan for, quote, home repairs in April, but that branch doesn't handle business loans, she said. So he was coming in to lie, basically, to get a home loan to buy leeches with. Yeah. Right. So not good there. She said, quote, he needed to come in and prove his income. And they said, that he didn't. It was sometime before 2 p.m. He said he was self-employed and needed federal income tax returns for the previous 2 years. And since he hadn't finalized 2006, and, he tried unsuccessfully to get all of this. The bank manager said he was agitated and nervous. Then he got a call. And when he hung up, he told her his business partner had been shot and he had to go. That's that person. So his loan application was put on hold. It was denied a week later, though, not only because he was charged with murder, but because his 2005-2006 income was non-existent. So they're not going to give him an unsecured loan for jack shit.
For a guy that has no money.
For a guy who has no money and makes no money. Right. So, yeah, under questioning, she said that it's not unusual for customers to get nervous, frustrated, or anxious, especially if they've been turned down for a loan, which is true. But sweating and dry heaving is probably another avenue here. She said he hadn't been rejected at that point, so he didn't know that. She also said that he, she wasn't sure. She could have misheard him on the phone. They tried to do that sort of thing. So, they also heard from Wanda Nelson, who was his tax person, and she said that he showed up at about 9:45 or 10, rather than when he had an appointment at 2. She said, quote, he was nervous. He seemed more nervous than in previous meetings. He was in the office for about 15 minutes. She said that it's not unusual at all for people to be nervous while their taxes are being prepared. She said that he came in really late or he came in really early. He was never on time. So that was that. So they talk a little bit about his taxes. Apparently he qualified for, I have his tax info here. When he did his taxes that day, he qualified for a $30 federal refund and nothing from the state. So this person, he drove in a car, wasted more than $30 in gas money to fucking have a person do a bunch of math and tell them the federal government that has trillions of dollars going through it, they owe you $30.
They're going to chip you off a couple of pizzas.
There's that. Yeah. What a fucking mess.
Unbelievable.
Leslie, Chad's wife, her younger sister testifies. She's one of the people that lives there. Right. Morningstar Bellacourt is her name.
Oh.
It's a fucking name right there.
Yeah.
Jesus, that sounds made up and shit. That's a name. She says that she worked late the night before as a security guard at the Shooting Star Casino, which is...
That's too close to her name.
Well, yeah, it is. Well, I've never had what a casino probably is and its name match up in tone so well. You know, this is like a depressing casino in the middle of an Indian reservation, and they call it Shooting Star Casino, which just sounds sad and fucking depressing. She said she woke up that morning from a bad dream. She said, I still felt like something was wrong, and then she learned something happened to Chad. She said she got dressed and ran outside and saw Kenny Swedberg go by in a Bobcat with the police there. And she said that the trail was quite muddy, and they said this was amazing. They'd have to bring Chad down on a pallet since the ambulance couldn't get there with a stretcher. God. And so they had to like
drag him behind the four-wheeler?
Basically fucking carry him on a pallet through the mud to get him out of there. She said she cried and all that. She was kneeling in the mud, and she was trying to hold back. They had dogs that were trying to fucking bite the paramedics or work. Imagine this scene. In the wood, in the mud, and the paramedics and police and fucking a pallet, and there's dogs barking and people are screaming and crying. And there's fucking leeches and maple syrup everywhere. Bees are swarming. This is a disaster. This is a fucking disaster. They got the dogs down the trail, and then they were helped by Al Baker, who showed up, and he loaded the dogs in the back of his pickup truck and drove them all home. They said that his help was needed. They said, I knew we wouldn't be able to walk all the way back with those dogs going crazy like that, so Al helped a lot. She said that Leslie was saying, quote, I don't want to live. What am I going to do without my Chad and all that type of shit. She was freaking out. They said they got a call from Kenneth Anderson, who asked at 10:52, asking if Chad was there, and he said, "Hey, this is his bro." Now, asking if Chad was there at 10:52, he had already received a call way earlier than that. That said Chad was Chad's shot. Right. So it was a very much like a weird phone call. They also talked to Al Baker, obviously. Got to talk to Al Baker, the guy who does everything. He's going to help cook up the syrup here. He says that when he stopped by, he says that he got the call and from Kenneth Anderson. He was supposed to stop by his house on the way to Chad's, and he said that he stopped by and Chad wasn't and Kenneth wasn't home. He said that Al said he looked around a bit, called Anderson's cell phone, and nobody answered, and then he said, fuck it, headed over to the maple syrup camp where he found Chad shot and all that chaos going on. Baker said that Anderson hasn't asked him about the leech tanks before or since. So the next day he wasn't like, hey, will you still check out my leech tanks? He said he never brought it up again. That morning was the only time he needed the leeching shit there. Baker said he heard Chad had told him also that Chad was leery of going into the leeching business with Anderson, not only because it was a stupid business, but no, he didn't say that, but he did also say because Anderson didn't have a driver's license, it wouldn't be able to participate in this business, basically. Okay. So that makes sense here. So they said that Anderson had called Swedberg's home the night before, and he said that his wife said that he didn't want to talk about leeching with Kenneth. She overheard the conversation and said that Chad didn't want anything to do with Kenneth at that point. They also said that they got his wife to basically admit that sometimes his brother and him had beef too, and they were trying to put it on somebody else could have shot him. Basically, they were doing that sort of thing. Now, Ken Swedberg had gotten maple syrup from someone other than Chad. And Jesse Fain said that Chad wanted to go over and make fun of the syrup because his was better. Okay. That's why they went over the night before to mock his syrup.
Roast his syrup.
Hey, we're going over to Ken's house. I'm gonna make fun of that fucking syrup. He's got some shit syrup. Let's go make fun of his syrup. I've never left the house to mock a man's syrup. I don't care what syrup you have in your fucking house. He said that would be like us going over to pick on someone for listening to another podcast.
Right.
I hear you listen to fucking Time Suck, huh? Yeah. What the fuck is that about? We like Time Suck.
Bearded fuck.
It's a bad example. Yeah. But we love Dan too.
Dan's the greatest.
Yeah. So yeah, they were laughing at each other. They said they were laughing with each other and they got along like brothers do. They said that they did things they didn't agree with, but they let each other be. Basically, they said they always carried their phones in the woods because of accidents and hunters shooting the wrong things and and all that sort of shit, because they said, would you always carry your gun in the woods or your phone in the woods? So yeah, they said he said that there's not a lot of people in the area. They said around there. Leslie said, over the years, I was surprised at how few people we ran into in the acreage behind the house. So it's just not. It's so rural. People they have their own woods basically here. So they also said that they talked to Leslie and they said that your opinion of Kenneth Anderson at the time of Chad's death was different than it is now. And she replied, yes. This is the defense asking her this. And they said, because you think he killed Chad? And she said, I know he did. And they said, and the defense said, no, you feel he did. And she said, I know he did it. So he's arguing with a widow on the stand about her emotions, which is probably not the best thing to do in front of the jury, I would say. She said that she believes that Kenneth Anderson had murdered him. And the judge ended up breaking up this little thing and saying, all right, we're not going to have a fucking argument over something that neither of you know. She said that Chad tolerated Kenneth and that they were not best buddies. They would hunt together. They grew up together, but Chad was tired of him and all the trouble he caused. She said Chad was a good person. He would be buddies with everybody, but also she said that she had made statements to the police that they were best friends. And at the day of the shooting, she said, you should talk to this guy because he'll know better. Right. He's closer to my husband. He would know who he has beef with. So she is making contradictory statements here. And also, during this whole thing, it comes out that Chad was having an affair.
Oh, boy.
As well. So you can't trust anybody.
No.
Okay. If you're married and your husband is fucking syruping on the property, you don't expect that guy to be out slinging dick around the county also as well, right?
Rare. Yeah.
Very rare. You're like, if I can trust anybody, it's the syrup guy who does nothing but hang out with his brother and deal with syrup and leeches and bees. He's not fucking anybody. Oh, yes, he is. Wow. You can trust no one. So that'll, if you think your relationship is solid, it's not probably. I don't know what the fuck to tell you.
It's possible you're in trouble too.
It's possible, yeah. If anybody's dealing in syrup, I would say be suspicious. Apparently, that it's the lure of
smells so delicious.
That's what it is. It's the lure of the syrup business.
Pheromones.
So many groupies. It's known for groupies, that business. It's like, rock and roll and movie stars, athletes, and
so
syrup.
How the bottles were shaped like ladies.
That's it, man. That's it. They're like, yeah, that's what I like right there. Junk in the trunk.
Oh boy.
Some of that Aunt Jemima shit. So he says, he argues here, Kenneth's argument is that the state fails to meet its burden of proof. He says the timeline of events supports, a reasonable inference that he couldn't have been the shooter, between the distance in his home and the syruping camp. They said it would have been difficult for Kenneth to kill Chad and then return to his normal business.
Okay.
Which it really wouldn't have. It would have been maybe emotionally, but physically, they only lived 1.3 miles away. So very easily for him to kill him and go back to his normal business from there. Yeah. They establish all the shit with his cell phone, and he tries to use that to his advantage, obviously. They said that he called his sister at 8:34 p.m. from an unknown location. And he says we must assume the jury believed here. The jury does believe the state's evidence about this because basically he called his sister at 8:34, but he doesn't show up until 9:30.
Oh, that's weird.
So he's got an hour of unaccounted for time where they have no idea where he is, and that's the time when Chad was shot. So it's kind of it's or he was shot a little before that, but it's definitely in the ballpark of he could have been gone and whatever. So he also says that the state evidence didn't convincingly rule out Al Baker or Ken Swedberg as the perpetrators in the murder. So Al Baker, the helpful 72-year-old, he had to pop a cap in his ass out there in the woods.
Angry old man.
For no reason.
Make me do syrupin.
Shit, check your tanks and build your fucking trap. Why would you build someone 200 aluminum things and then shoot them?
That's a good point.
Makes no fucking sense. He was clearly helping this man, and they were doing shit together. So they said that Baker says that he was home or picking up groceries, and Ken Swedberg said he was making food for his bees, and that's what Ken Swedberg's wife said. Yeah. And Al probably doesn't have a criminal record as long as his fucking arm too, so he's a little more believable. Yeah. Than a drunk guy. So they also, Anderson argues that they didn't demonstrate a motive, the state, which they don't have to demonstrate a motive. That's a common misconception.
Really?
That the prosecution has to have a motive. They don't have to have a fucking motive. They don't care about a motive.
Doesn't matter.
The homicide book, they talk about they don't give a shit there's a line where he says, we don't care why Pinky shot fucking, Chi-Chi in the 400 block of this, that we don't give a shit why that happened. We just know it happened. Why isn't your fucking problem? Right. We don't give a shit.
That's why they always say that the why is always the part that we always miss.
Because they don't care about it.
They don't need it.
They don't need it. For a case, it helps. They say that helps to paint a picture for a jury, but if you go, hey, we found fingerprints on this gun that they belong to him, and that gun shot these bullets into him, he's fucking convicted, period. They don't give a shit about why. Drug beef, who knows, or whatever beef is what they usually, then homicide's all about. Kind of an urban drug dealer thing, so a little different than here. He says that Anderson also says he may have hidden the rifle in fear when it became apparent that the investigation was focusing on him. He said he might have hidden it in fear, but like they said, they told the public that it was a different caliber that was used, so he wouldn't have had any fear of that. Right. Exactly. So they're saying that. He argues lack of physical evidence, such as nothing with the footprints. They didn't save those at all. Also with the timeline, he says basically, there's different tracks. This one saw one going this way. This one saw one going that way. A heel print. Who knows, basically. So finally, they have to go to the jury with this mess and just try to figure it out. And the jury deliberates for a little while, and they decide guilty.
Yeah.
First-degree premeditated murder.
Oh, shit.
Guilty. Because if he did it, it's premeditated. Yeah. He didn't just go over there to hang out and get in an argument.
Yeah, that's a long drive to
shoot someone in the back. Right. So it's, it's got to be premeditated if he did it. So they end up convicting him. They dropped the theft charge for some reason before this. Because he had a theft charge for something else. They dropped that in the deal here.
Won't matter. So now they're sentencing, and if you've been found guilty of this crime, it looks terrible. It looks like shit. Looks like you're a real asshole who shot a man in the back and then fucking tried to get out of it. Shot your best friend in the back and then tried to get out of it. So he is sentenced. I think this is a you, sir. Yeah.
You, sir, may fuck off. Life without parole.
Oh, that's steep.
That's steep.
That's the one.
That's the one there. So he got banged hard for this. So there is no physical evidence. There is no... It's circumstantial. Yeah. It's good circumstantial.
It's solid.
But there could have been some stranger in the woods that shot him, and Kenneth could have been doing something, and we have no fucking idea. Yeah. That's what's dangerous about this type of shit. Yeah. That's why we're lucky it's not like a death penalty case where this guy would be dead already. Yeah. Who the hell knows? So Kenneth Anderson, though, he ends up doing that. He's going to appeal. He maintains his innocence. Not only that, he says he's being framed.
Oh.
God damn it. He does an interview in the press. He says, quote, I would love a new trial. That's my ultimate goal. He wants to argue that lies, deceit, and tampered evidence led to his conviction. He says, always in the back of my mind, that if that jury heard all the stuff and reports, this would have changed. They said that he says, quote, the evidence was presented fairly. I'm sorry, that the prosecutor said the evidence was presented fairly to the jury, and the jury came back with a decision in the first degree murder conviction, something they didn't take lightly. They asked him, quote, do you think you were framed? He says, think I was? I know I was. Mm-hmm. So he goddamn knows he's framed. He says they'll make arguments about new evidence. He says he's got a bunch of new evidence here, and it's fucking on. Now his mother agrees with him. His mother, Geraldine Bellinger, she says she's standing in front of by her son. She says, quote, somebody else did it. I know my son didn't do it. I know that for a fact. Just like any of these people who are here with me know he didn't do it. I always said if I knew my son was guilty, I wouldn't be here, but I know my son is innocent, and I'm fighting, and I'll fight until the day I die.
Jesus.
So she
thinks he's innocent as much as the wife thinks she's fucking guilty.
Exactly. He's got those two things. So 2010, he has an appeal. He raises a claim of ineffective assistance of counsel, alleging that the counsel failed to adequately investigate his case. Also brought up the fact that he didn't testify, and the counsel kind of forced him not to testify. Mm-hmm. But I have the transcript of the exact conversation when he says he doesn't want to testify, and the defense attorney going, haven't we talked about this and blah blah blah? Is this your final decision? Are you doing this? And like the defense attorney was saying he wanted him to testify, and fucking he didn't, so it was not valid. That's on him, basically. He also says that if the state produced enough evidence to demonstrate he was a killer, it didn't produce sufficient evidence to prove premeditation. So he's saying, maybe I killed him, but you didn't get the premeditation part. They said, that's not it at all. planning, the motive, the manner of killing. They said that was, he said that's not sufficient for premeditation. He says the act of carrying a rifle into the woods would not be sufficient to establish premeditation, as it's common for residents of the area to take firearms into the woods, which is probably right. But circumstances proved including more than an act of carrying the rifle in the woods. They say it also includes the fact that he arranged to delay Albert Baker. That was a big deal.
That is a big deal.
So he wouldn't be there,
right?
Because he called Chad, found out everybody's schedule, then called Al and made that whole thing, and the thing with the leech tank that never came up and all that shit. Now, he also contends that his constitutional right to counsel was violated when his phone calls to his attorney's cell phone were monitored and recorded. He also argues that it's nearly impossible for him to prove that the prosecution listened to these calls and obtained prejudicial information from the calls, which is basically every prisoner ever. They can say, I bet they were recording my calls, and who's to say they weren't listening?
Well, they take your freedom away.
That's the law.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, they're not supposed to listen to your legal strategy with your attorney. That's not okay there. But I mean, there's no way to prove that they have or haven't. That's the problem. Yeah, that's supposed to be completely, on you. So they also this whole thing with a juror comes up. There's a juror here, a juror and a coworker of this juror. The coworker was aware that this juror was serving on the jury and asked him how it was going. This juror replied that there was, quote, a lot of controversy about the case, and, quote, this one says this and this one says that and this one says this. So the district court asked the coworker if this juror made any indication that the other jurors felt the same way, or was there any indication that they discussed it, and the juror and this guy said that he didn't really discuss it further than that. Basically, they tried to say, like, was this guy pressured into voting guilty by other jurors where he wasn't actually guilty? But that was in the middle of the trial, and he was like, I don't know, this one says this and this one says that. Okay. So that's a lot of jurors would fucking say that, sure. Especially if you didn't want to talk about it.
And it's not the end. I mean, at the middle of the trial, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, and especially if you weren't allowed to talk about it, but didn't want to sound like a dick at work.
Yeah.
He's saying, I'm not allowed to talk about it. You'd be like, I don't know, it's a lot of this one this and this one saying that. You know how it goes. Like, you might just blow it off. I could see myself saying that, basically, with that. So that ends up being all dismissed out of there. The court interviewed all the bailiffs to learn if anyone observed any improper conversations between the jurors. They looked really deeply into this whole juror thing, and they found nothing fucking happened other than this guy said, it's a he said, she said, who the fuck knows type of thing in the middle of the trial. So that appeal is denied. 2011, he applies for post-conviction relief, and he's denied there. 2016, they talked to Al Baker. He's got new evidence, he's saying now.
Al Baker does?
No.
Oh, okay.
Kenneth Anderson saying he has new evidence, and this is why he's fighting for a trial. He was even featured in a documentary that was in the Tribeca Film Festival.
Really?
About wrongfully convicted people. Jesus. And there's this one guy who was released from a California prison who was wrongfully convicted. They profile him, and they also profile Kenneth, acting like he's the most put-upon guy in the fucking world, acting like he's put upon Kathy over here. And it seems like he's probably
put upon Kenneth.
Put upon Kenneth. That's him.
That Karen, Kathy, and Kenneth are all my mom's brothers and sisters' names.
That's perfect. Jesus, how is that? How does that happen? How the fuck does that happen?
In the fuck?
So, Jesus Christ, that's awesome. So they interview Al Baker again in November of 2016. He's 81 years old by this point. Fuck. And he tells the officers right away, my memory's not as good as it used to be, first of all. I'm fucking 80. He said that anything I said at the time would have been accurate, but now I don't know what I'm going to remember here. He said that he spoke with Anderson at the time of the trial. He said that Baker recalled asking the judge to speak with Anderson at the conclusion of his testimony, and he didn't recall if the jury was in the courtroom then. Baker recalled thanking Anderson for not shooting him also.
Oh, really?
That's what he said. He goes, I went up to him afterwards and said, thanks for not shooting me too.
Yeah.
And Baker believed Anderson created circumstances so that Baker would not be present at the syrup stand that morning. He also explained that Anderson had asked him to look at the tank and all that kind of shit. Baker told the officers that he did view a location that he concluded Anderson had shot Swedberg from, where he thought he shot him from. He recalled that he made the observation days after the murder when he and Leslie and Jesse, his wife and stepson, had returned to the syrup stand to finish processing. So a few days later, they all went back to finish the syrup.
Wow.
They had to go finish the syrup. What are we going to do with all this syrup? Can't just leave it in the woods. So at this point, Baker recalled seeing cigarette butts at a particular location where he believed he also observed shell casings. And he said, this is the fucking spot that he was standing where he shot him. He said that the evidence was collected, and Baker said that he may not have told the officers about the shell casings. He might have forgotten. He's not sure because he's 81 years old. He denied making any observation that Kenneth was at the property during these morning hours. He said that he had not been to the property any time that day, as he heard, as he said before. He had told officers that Kenneth's mother had been telling people that Albert was responsible for the murder of Chad. So that's what the rumor going around town. He said some of those people have advised Albert of her statements. Baker says he doesn't recall discussing the murder with her at all. He denied that he ever. She says that, okay, this we got to get into this. His mother said that, Leslie said that Baker had freaked her out because he at one time told her that he had heard voices in his head telling him to kill Chad.
Oh, Jesus.
That's what she says, that he heard voices. A 72-year-old man heard voices that said, that's what the wife said. Yeah. And he said that he certainly never told anyone he heard voices. He said he never heard any voices, and he's not involved with it at all. Yeah. And he doesn't have any reason to kill anybody. He says that he recalled Ken Anderson using his cell phone on the day of the funeral. He says that Baker said that Kenneth told Baker that he didn't have his cell phone that day, but then he saw him using his cell phone that day. Baker later saw Anderson using his phone and thought that was suspicious. He said he had no recollection of receiving calls because he said that the mother, this is what we got to get into. Cheryl Dean, Kenneth's mother, said that Baker called her and said that several people that Baker told her that he's gotten several calls from the same person who claims to be Chad's murderer. That's what the mother said. And he said, no one called me claiming to be Chad's murderer. I don't know what you're talking about. No one called me and claimed it, and I never heard any fucking voices.
So wash.
But this is his new evidence here. And this is his big thing. This is what the documentary's based on. It's based on, there is a big long thing about someone saw these people in a car and the sun was shining, but this person may have been in the back seat. And it's this big long thing that has nothing to do with shit. It's this big bullshit thing. His new evidence, this is 2018, post-conviction court. He wants them to give him a new trial. This is the interview with Al Baker. He says that this is an affidavit from Chad's mom, or not from Chad's, from Kenneth's mom, though, saying that she says Baker was at the syrupin camp as early as 8 a.m. and claimed to find shells and cigarette butts. And Baker sent his .308 caliber rifle to his brother in Illinois because he had said he sent it to his niece in Alaska, and they said it was actually with his brother in Illinois. And she says that her conversation also, she recalls that Baker told people that he heard voices telling him to kill Chad. So she said that almost 10 minutes of an interview with Baker allegedly shows that Baker received 2 phone calls claiming someone killed Chad and told him about it. They said that a witness, it's a bunch of shit like that. An interview with Douglas Haverkamp showing that he was unwilling to speak with an investigator before trial because he was afraid of Kenneth. So they're saying that means Kenneth's innocent. It's fucking crazy. Also, they said that they obtained, Jesus Christ, they obtained surveillance footage of Walmart of, Jesus Christ, of surveillance footage of Liz Anderson, Kenneth's wife, handing an envelope of cash to Chad and Leslie inside of a Walmart, and that corroborates what he says, that he sold the rifle back to Chad. Meanwhile, he had it up in his rafters, so it doesn't matter if he sold it to him or not. Yeah, either way, he had it there. It's a bunch of shit. It's a bunch of like affidavits and people, it's a complete horseshit, basically, his thing. It might be true. He might not have done it. We don't know. But the way he's going about his appeals are...
And his story in the beginning sucked.
It really fucking sucks.
For a guy that didn't do it, he's got some incriminating shit, and he's lying about shit. Why are you lying if you didn't do it?
That's the fucking problem here. And then he also, I guess he's passed the statute to apply for something also, so that's an issue. They tell him that they say, even when considered to be true and viewed in most favorable light to Anderson, 3 of his newly discovered evidence claims involve evidence that does nothing more than impeach prior testimony, but doesn't bring new evidence. The claims about the tax lady, Douglas Haverkamp, Brad Riggle, all this different shit. These signed statements that people have statements that say things that don't. It's all stuff that would have clouded shit during the actual trial.
Right.
If he said all this shit during the trial, it might have clouded it. But when you bring it
After
up
the fact,
11
sucks.
years later,
Right.
it doesn't sound, it doesn't sound too true here.
It's not convincing.
It's not exactly convincing here. Yeah. So that, the exchange with the Walmart thing,
Right.
Liz Anderson, who's Kenneth Anderson's sister, she said that, she gave Swedberg an envelope of cash that was owed to him from working with Kenneth, not for a gun.
Okay, so it's a different thing.
That's what it was there. So that's how that works. They said that he fails to explain the alleged firearm transfer establishes his innocence. He also, no explanation is discernible from the record, considering that, a 30 caliber rifle was found on the property. So whether he sold it or not, he had it. Like we just said, they said that he tried to conceal the rifle, and his palm print was found on the rifle with nobody else's prints.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, it's kind of hard for him to say he didn't have that gun, therefore he's fucking innocent. Mm-hmm. It's a whole bunch of shit here with his taxes, a lot of shit with Jesse Fain saying that, they're trying to, at one point they try to say that Jesse Fain might have shot him. So is it an old man or his stepson?
Right.
Which fucking one shot him? It's goddamn ridiculous here. But eventually they tell him to eat dicks and pound sand and fuck off and go back to prison here. And he's currently serving life without parole while he has a full, it's not, we'll put it this way. His holes are not exactly Adnan Syed kind of holes here. This is not exactly I don't know. This is a rural area. It's odds of someone else wandering by and just randomly shooting this guy.
549 people there.
Are really, they're really low. They've said in years they very rarely run into anybody back there. And if you did, you'd probably say hello and not just shoot and ask questions later. It's a little bit weird. It's not like Adnan where, Hay was out in the world and could have taken by anybody, including her boyfriend. So who the fuck knows here? But it's affirmed, and he is told to fuck off, and that is the story of Kenneth Anderson.
Wow.
And this White Earth, Minnesota / Maple Grove Township / Omega / Wapun / whatever the fuck. Holy shit. So that is the show for today. Mm-hmm. Good God. I hope you enjoyed that. That was crazy. If you did like it, I know what you can do to tell us about it. You can get on Apple Podcasts, purple icon there, and give us 5 stars. Tell us whatever you want. You can't fix us with words. It's just for business. It helps drive us up the charts. It really, really helps a lot. Also, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com for your comprehensive look at everything Shut Up and Give Me Murder, everything small town murder and crime and sports. We have everything there. All your merchandise, new stuff is up, lots of cool stuff, and including tickets to live shows. Charlotte is live. Go get your tickets, Charlotte, and Orlando and Tampa, first weekend of the tour. Do not embarrass. Come on, get your asses out there. Yeah. Let's make this awesome. Let's
start the tour strong, because the rest of it it's gonna be bananas.
So you guys don't.
I want the first ones to be out fucking standing.
Don't be the ones after the tour where we're like, man, what a good tour. I mean, Florida sucked, but the rest of it was great. Don't be that, guys. Right. Everybody fucking, for once, Florida, do the right thing. Everybody talk shit about you. For once, you know what? Say, no, we're not going to be the ones that are going to be made fun of.
Right.
We're not going to be made fun of and told that Omaha is better than us. No. So please do that. Get your tickets to your live shows. Also, follow us on social media. We are at Murder Small on Twitter, at Small Town Murder on Instagram, and at Small Town Pod on Facebook. And things like the Charlotte tickets, you would have known that they're going on sale before now if you followed us on social media. So, make sure to get those tickets early. And if you want to be a bigger hero, a goddamn savior of ours that we're going to talk about in a second. It's weird to put goddamn and savior back to back as well, by the way. I love it. It's a strange combination of words. But if you want to be one of those people, one of our producers, you can do that extremely easily. All you need to do is go to patreon.com/crimeandsports or head over to PayPal and use our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com, to make a one-time donation. And you can get to both of those right from shutupandgivememurder.com. So with that said, Jimmy, I need... Leech, but put them on me, like cover me with names like Leeches in the Great Outdoors. Hit me with them,
That
butter.
is disgusting. This week's executive producers are Robert Aldred. Happy birthday! Birthday.
Birthday.
You guys are so nice. Some people pulled some money for your birthday. So
I saw that.
happy
Thank you guys so
birthday.
fucking much for that.
You guys are
That was
amazing.
really awesome. You guys got a bunch of cards from. You guys are really cool, man. Thank you so much for that. That means the world to me.
The amount of mail is incredible.
It's awesome. Thank you guys.
So we also have executive producer Crystal Gennaro, Sion Yercourt Hughes. That's Robert Aldred's wife.
Cool. Thank you.
Ashley and Jeremy Mason, Michael Stoll. Melissa McCormick, Teresa Monzo Stratman, and Ruben Rodriguez. Thank you guys so much. We can't do this
Thank
thing
you
without
guys.
you.
You guys
That's
are the best.
Lee got his MBA, and he stayed up late listening to us. And his wife
congrats,
wanted to tell him congratulations. So
Damn.
good work, Lee.
Congrats,
Congratulations.
Lee.
The rest we've got here are Lisa Chalice, Lynn Powell, Kelly.
Wow, that's a weird name.
Yeah, it is. Kelly Soylett Green, Antonio Meneses, Jeff Callahan, or is that Joff? That's Joff Callahan. Morgan Haynes, Liz Vasquez, Ryan Schultz, Trevor Farber, Thomas Smith, Jennifer Murphy, Adriel Thomas, Alex Richardson, happy birthday. Where did I go? Jesse Hartman, Brendan Abels, John J. O'Hara, Jeremy Phillips, Elijah Neha. That's what that is. Jeff Forsell, Justin Miller, Amy Lasher, Luke M., Gisela Fleischer, Valerie Calloway, Sandra Helm, Casey Huffman, Kayleen Kirsch, Melissa Ann, Clay Thorson, Tilly Veldman, Lacey with no last name. Happy Father's Day, Chris Battaglia in New Jersey. Good for you.
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, that's nice. Jude, is it Jude? Yeah, it's Jude Kendall. Shannon Russell, Amy Eichard, Tyler Gwill, Daniel McCabe, Sherry with no last name, Kyler Lundberg, Eric Langenecker, Eliza Carbo, Neil Campbell, James Martyr, Angela Pahojak.
Wow. Put some stank on it.
I write terribly, and that's a terrible, difficult last name anyhow. Alicia Massey, thank you so much. Gary Howard, Tyler Daddy, Duass. Ruass? What is that? Tyler, thank you. James Everly, Nico Oosterweisen, Andrew Parks, Alexandra Gallagher. She donated twice, both ways. Thank you.
Thank you.
Reagan Shockley, Todd B. Christos, Jeremy Lemos, Jasmine Berninger, Sam Powell, Stephen Rude, Liv Browning, Kate Pantel, Christine L. with no last name. That's just Christine. That's what that is. Vern
It's just Christine.
Vern Pomeranian, Kayla Liebman, Sabrina Wheeler, Aaron Dickerson, Sarah Wojciechowski. That's what that is. Matthew Williams.
Something Polish.
It's probably wrong. Gabriel with no last name. Connor Owens, Stephanie Agoa, Timothy Palm. Yes.
Name of the deceased, something Polish?
Yeah.
Sorry. That's a night shift reference. Keep going.
David Gessing, Frederick Cloth, Danielle Hopkins, William Cox, Raymond Clevenger, Alvin Wilden, Craig Cole, Cassandra Dobrum, Armando Turonis, Sarah Jensen, Ben Glover, Ashley Vio. Oh, yes, of course. Mike at Dogpile Services in Chicago. Go over and find out what Dogpile Services is. Judy Gravenhorst. Jesus, fuck, I'm an idiot. Ben Humbert and Alan Cosins. Thank you guys so much. But before I wrap those up, I want to thank you guys all for being so fucking nice to Matthew's wife.
Yes,
Rebecca.
Thank you guys for that.
You guys did an amazing thing for her.
It's a tough time for those people, and
the donations that poured in for their GoFundMe were enormous.
Not only that, your support too. I know means a lot to them, and
it really does. And I've got an email
that
is very personal and sent to us, and I'd like to read it, but I'm not going to, just because it's incredibly sweet. But her point is just, fucking, if you got mental health
cool
issues,
and
if you've got anything that you're dealing with, it's very personal to me, obviously, and I just hope that you guys talk to somebody and figure it out, because you don't want to. Rebecca and now her poor daughters are really struggling. So thank you for helping them and doing what you're supposed to do. You guys are fucking incredible.
Definitely, we appreciate everything you guys do for us. And what if the people wanted to find you and tell you something about appreciation?
You can find me,
teach you the meaning of something,
and give me the Rex of your psychiatrist at Whisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. I appreciate everything you guys do. It's really it's powerful, and I love watching it happen. So thank you. Where can they tell you?
Definitely, you can tell me at Jimmie P is funny, or you can just copy and paste my last name from the show description and do it that way, because you don't want to spell it, because that's going to be more difficult and more trouble than you really need to get into. So do that. Keep following and keep doing everything. Like we said, get on social media, because we announce different tour dates, and when we have more tour dates like Salt Lake City and Denver and all that shit that we're planning, we will be announcing there first as usual. So do that. My goodness, Jesus, look at this. What a lovely time. Thank you guys for so much for everything this week, everybody. And until next week, it's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus